high of 90 on Wednesday. Mostly sunny, turning partly cloudy. The chance for storms comes in the evening, especially late evening for St. Louis. A low chance for some strong winds with any storms late evening Wednesday. Then overnight into Thursday, more scattered storms are likely. Some could produce some isolated pockets of flooding into Thursday morning. A low of 70 Thursday morning, then in the afternoon, mostly cloudy, slim chance for a few showers Thursday afternoon. The better chance will come Thursday night, and a high of 85 as it cools down but stays muggy for Thursday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Agree.
I think conservatives have it wrong.
Or disagree.
I couldn't agree with you more.
The conversation happens here.
I agree with you on Trump.
I'm shaking my head.
I'm one of your liberal Democratic listeners, and I don't get why any of this even matters.
Because your voice matters.
Everybody told him he couldn't do it, and then he did do it.
That's what you got to do. You got to play hardball.
So I want to hear what people think and be able to talk about it.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. This is special coverage of
Missouri Decides 2026.
Brought to you by Fast Signs in Bridgeton, 21 Recycling in House Springs, Gemini Wealth Group, and Freddy's Market.
And welcome to election coverage. Welcome to election night here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. I'm Tony Colombo in studio with Vic Porcelli.
Buonasera.
Hello. And producer Cole is also in studio with us, and we will be here with you for the next few hours as we hopefully get a lot of answers from a lot of the questions and races and issues that we have been covering, concerned about, talking about for weeks now. And, you know, this is just round one, Vic. After we get through tonight, it'll be immediately on to the general election in November. But tonight is going to have a massive impact, not only on how that shapes up in November, the midterm elections and in the general in November, but also some of these things are going to, you know, basically set the tone for a lot of issues in Missouri going forward. Amendments 4 and 5, nothing bigger than those two.
Yep, and for referenda, I've never seen a referendum more divided, A, and number two, people not really knowing what either one do.
Yeah, a lot of misinformation. I think a lot of misunderstanding.
Misunderstanding, I think, is the big thing.
Yeah, and a lot of... Go ahead.
We're putting the message out there. I mean, and we're letting people know what it does. Mm-hmm. So I think the people that listen to this station at least know what's what and what it's going to do, what both of them are going to do.
I hope so, because we have tried to get that message out across the board. I know, you know, on our show, we've been talking about it every day for weeks, and I know you have as well, and everybody else on the station has been focusing on these issues, because when it comes to Amendments 4 and 5, you know, that's going to set the tone. 4 is going to set the tone about whether we stay on this path of special interests being able to alter the Missouri Constitution at will, seemingly,
right,
as they have been doing.
It's not why you make a constitution.
Yeah, 129 right. Missouri constitutional amendments currently.
Unbelievable.
We'll be at 200 before you know it if we don't go yes on 4 today. And Amendment 5, while I've said many times I understand the concerns that people have of, well, if we're going to get rid of this, what's on the other side of things, and what, you know, I just don't like that we don't know the second part of this. In my conversations with guys like Rodney Boyd and others, Vic, it boils down to right now the current system in place with the income tax in Missouri is not something that is feasible to a productive future. We need to make a change.
Yeah.
And if it's not tonight, then we're just going to wait even longer and do more damage to the state down the line, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Until we, you know, find a new system.
We had a listener call in yesterday and ask about Amendment 5, and he's like, well, you know, they're going to get rid, because usually when he does his state taxes, he gets money back, and now he won't anymore. So I said, well, you know what, we'll ask Nick Schroer. We asked Nick Schroer today, and he was like, you'll get it back every week in your paycheck.
Yeah, right?
I couldn't have been a more simpler, plainer answer to that.
Yeah. And as I've said all along, it's too late, you know, to make the case to voters, or, you know, talk about the, inform people about their vote, because it's done. Polls closed 10 minutes ago, And we're keeping an eye on everything now. We'll let you know as soon as we start to get some numbers in, and we'll keep you posted throughout the night on all these races. But, with the income tax, at least if it's a sales tax of some kind, there's already guardrails in place. They can't make an 80% sales tax or something crazy like that. And at least with, an income tax, kind of to that point that Nick made, it's gone before you even see it. At least with a sales I have some control over how much money I spend and where I spend it and how much I buy.
And how much you'll be taxed.
And therefore how much I'll be taxed.
Right.
When it's the income tax, it's just gone before I even get a chance to have any say about what goes on with my money.
Exactly right.
So we'll see.
And what about, I don't want to interrupt you.
No, please.
The turnout. Some people say turnout will be better for, this or that. I heard somebody say a better turnout in St. Charles would be good for Steve Ellman, and a lower turnout would be good for Bill Eigel. I mean, it's crazy how that works. But I'm hearing that the turnout is pretty big for
a primary,
for an August
midterm election.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, we're looking at like numbers that would typically be in the 15%. I've heard predictions, at least, that it could be as high as in the 30s, which
is good.
Would be amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still pathetic, but
I can't see not voting. I mean, when you live in a country like this and you get the chance to go into a voting booth and enter your secret ballot and make a difference, why would you not do that? And everybody says it. I'm no genius here, but if you don't vote and it doesn't go your way, then you're not allowed to bitch about it. I'm sorry.
You don't get to complain
Right.
about it. You need
Oh,
to
sorry.
make your,
Complain is what I meant to say.
No, bitching is fine too. It's nighttime. It's late.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I did this at 9 o'clock in the morning, though, so I should probably.
So there's a lot of this on the line today with these statewide amendments. There's also the very local races that are going to be important. We've got the county executive race, Republican primary in St. Charles County. We've got the county executive race in St. Louis County. We've got other things like
Jeff Coe?
You were talking about Corey Bush.
Yeah.
We were talking about some of the
Corey
ads right
Bush.
before. Yeah.
Corey Bush.
That race has gotten more national attention than anything
Sure
happening in
has.
Missouri tonight.
It sure has.
Which kind of surprises me, and I guess we'll see. I didn't think that Corey Bush was still really popular, even with city voters and county voters. I thought that they liked Wesley Bell, and they showed that in 2024. It'll be interesting to see if that race is really as close, or if she's got, all these headlines about Corey Bush's comeback bid and, the comeback
Get
kid.
back on the squad.
Yeah. Like, really? Is that a thing?
I
don't know that Missouri voters, I don't know that St. Louis voters are ready
Here's
for
one
that.
thing.
But I guess we'll find out.
You said the district and the city and the county. That's a weird district, that District 1, because it starts in the city and then somehow gets all the way up into Creve Coeur. I'm like, what the hell kind of a district is that?
Well, redistricting and district maps have already been such an issue in Missouri and across the country. But it's going to be interesting. And, one more thing before we take this first break. And by the way, we're going to be checking in throughout the night. Like I said, we plan on being here until about 10 o'clock. Hopefully by then we have all these important things wrapped up. If there's something that looks like it's right around the corner, a big one of these happening, we'll stay if we need to get you all the information that we can get you tonight. And we're going to be checking in with Tim Jones, former Mayor Ferguson, Mayor James Knowles, Jamie Allman, Rodney Boyd, Missouri political insider who knows more about Missouri politics than anybody I know.
I can't believe I get to talk to Rodney Boyd.
Travis Wilson, who's one of the folks that are on the ballot, running for a state rep in a primary race today. Representative Wilson's going to join us. Former Missouri State Representative Justin Sparks, Chris Arps, Jonathan Heslop, Mike Ferguson. I mean, we're going to be going all over the place, talking to politicians, business owners, our great team here at News Talk STL to try to analyze these results from every angle as we go through the evening. So
maybe we can call our friend Billy Crow too to find out what's going down in Jeffco.
Yeah. Talked to the sheriff of Jefferson County today, Sheriff Dave Marshak on Colombo and Company, and he said kind of what we touched on at the beginning, that voter turnout in Jefferson County, according to him, was higher than
Than a general election?
in the past for
Wow.
something like this.
Wow.
So nothing yet as far as specific numbers coming in from any of these races in Missouri. We're monitoring several different sites, including the Secretary of State website and some of the various county election websites as well. And we'll start to we'll report these numbers as we get them and as we go through this evening. We're going to check in with our first guest of this special election coverage. Mike, you always got to start with the morning guy because in morning guys, they have to go to bed early.
Yeah.
So you got to start with
even in our Sopranos video that we made.
Start with Mike Ferguson.
Was first.
Okay, so there you go. Yeah, some early numbers in on Amendment 4, which is not a good start. 79% no, 21% yes, but literally just in the hundreds of votes at this point. So I don't see a percentage, but that's 1% of the vote in. So there you go. We'll see if that type of pace holds through the night.
Yeah.
But we will keep you posted as we go through the evening. We're joined by Mike Ferguson from Mike Ferguson in the Morning. You're listening to special election night coverage here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Missouri decides 2026
on News Talk STL.
Renewal by Anderson reminds you, if your home is a place where everyone gathers in the summer, you know how the little things matter. Sunlight coming through the window, the patio door constantly opening for kids, the front door welcoming everyone. Everyday moments deserve windows and doors just as beautiful as the memories you're making. And that's why so many homeowners choose Renewal by Anderson for beautifully crafted replacement windows and doors designed for lasting comfort, energy efficiency, timeless style. For a limited time, take $385 off every replacement window, $785 off every replacement patio or entry door. Flexible financing is available. Schedule your free Renewal by Anderson window and door diagnosis. Just dial pound 250 on your mobile phone. Say the keyword Windows. No phone number, no searching online. Pound 250, the keyword Windows. Renewal by Anderson. Superior products, exceptional service.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA, SIPC.
Got scrap metal, junk cars, or old appliances taking up space? Turn that clutter into cash. Since 1968, 21 Recycling and Scrap Metal has been the area's trusted name for recycling. We buy copper, brass, aluminum cans, scrap iron, wheels, catalytic converters, AC units, water heaters, washers, dryers, and yes, junk cars too. With our brand new truck scale on premises, getting paid is fast and easy. Old Highway 21 by Highway M or 21-recycling.com.
Here's my problem.
Completely agree with your sentiments.
He talks about we're divided. Well, yeah, we are.
And we need to wake up as a country and realize what's going on.
101.9 and 94.1.
Number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL. This is special coverage of
Missouri decides 2026.
Brought to you by Fast Signs in Bridgeton, 21 Recycling in House Springs, Gemini Wealth Group, and Freddy's Market.
Welcome back to live election coverage here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. Tony Colombo in studio with Vic Porcelli. Just getting in some of these very, very early numbers, but the very first couple of percentage of votes coming in, specifically on Amendment 4 and Amendment 5, both showing that no on both of those, off to an early lead. Way too early to tell anything, but interesting to see if this is the some of the early voting that they're just releasing here at the beginning before they start to get the vote count in from the various counties. But we'll see if that pace holds as we go through the night. Joining us on the line now is Mike Ferguson from Mike Ferguson in the Morning. You always go to your morning guy first because they have to go to bed first. Mike, thanks as always for a little bonus time on this election night. How are you feeling overall about the the energy, the outreach, and the voter turnout on this critically important election night?
Yeah, the voter turnout, we spoke with Secretary of State Denny Hoskins this morning on the show. They're expecting almost a third of registered voters to show up around the state. And I know that hearing that 2/3 of the voters don't show up, that sounds like really, really, really pathetic. But the reality is, in a primary election, this could be the biggest turnout since 2004. So over 20 years. And good God, that makes me sound old when I say that 2004 was over 20 years ago, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, the energy on this, I think, has gotten to an interesting pitch because I think the momentum on some of these key issues, I think you saw the folks on the left really start to feel a lot of momentum and a lot of confidence. And I think as we got into the election day here, I think there's a lot of conservatives really nervous about what's going to happen in these races, especially on 4 and 5.
Are you one of those? Would you count yourself in that nervous crew? What are you feeling about? I've been talking, for weeks about how I feel like the narrative was controlled by the opposition to 4 and 5. They were so much more well funded. Their ads were all over the place, and I feel like the ones of us who were trying to get the message out of how important, for me specifically, Amendment 4 was, I felt like I was on my heels the entire time. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, on our heels is a good way to put it. I've just accepted. I think Amendment 5 is probably going to lose. I'm telling you right now, it's going to lose. And my only worry is that it loses so bad that it pulls down Amendment 4 and puts us from starting from way behind the line of scrimmage on Amendment 3 come November. I'm still nervous about Amendment 4. I'm hoping for a miracle on that. I agree with you. That is the most important question on the ballot today. But there's an old saying in politics and campaigns that if you're explaining, you're losing. And the opposition to these, they don't have to justify their claims. They just made wild claims. And there were a couple fair questions in there, but they made wild, oftentimes dishonest claims. And then what happened is our side scrambled to try to explain, and look, here's a 10-point email and a big, long website you're supposed to look at, and we start using a bunch of economic terms. And in all candor, the messaging in the campaign for Amendment 5, particularly from a lot of the leadership and the lawmakers, it was just a mess, and it was too complicated. And unfortunately,
I feel like the momentum is tremendously against Amendment 5. The uncertainty, I think, and I want to get your thoughts on this. What was the biggest problem with the case for Amendment 5? Is it because we didn't have a solid answer on what comes next after the elimination of the income tax?
Yeah, in some ways, it was the Republican version of you have to pass the bill to find out what's in it. To harken back to Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah.
And another part is, you kept hearing these claims. The math just doesn't add up. They're going to have to triple the sales tax. Well, no, they're not. But the fact of the matter is that, Ben Keithley and Nick Schroer and Bishop Davidson and Dennis Ganal and the folks, who have been working on this for such a long time, constitutionally and policy-wise, this is the right thing. Set the Constitution. Here are the parameters, and then the lawmakers set the laws. And then, of course, with the Hancock Amendment, we have to vote on these things. But that's very, very complicated. You can't fit it into a 15 or 30-second spot.
You think Mike? You think Nick Schroer's got a shot at his election?
I think he's all right tonight.
I think he's got a good chance. I'm just saying, Polymarket would be on his side if they.
That wouldn't pay out much, I guess.
Yeah.
So listen, talking about the taxes, right? This was for income tax. I think property tax was in Amendment 5 as well. So is the play to go right to personal property tax? I can't see anybody voting against getting rid of personal property tax.
I couldn't see anybody voting against getting rid of income tax. But
you're going to have scared into that, of course, is the public schools and the fire districts. They're the ones who play the emotional aspect of this. However, to your point, Vic, people have had it. we have had it. We look at that bill every year. It goes up every year in both St. Charles and in St. Louis County. You've got assessors who have jacked up valuations of homes and have cost people thousands and thousands of dollars. And so the emotional play, to support more property taxes is not what it used to be. To the point you're making, I think you're right in that people are just done and people have had it with those. And so what's happening now is you've got this movement, and I think this is bigger than Amendment 5, to be really honest. I think it's bigger than the, Prop U's and all that sort of thing, is that you've got a moment where you've got the last year and a half, 2 years, where people have said enough is enough. Government is spending too much money. My family comes before government. And then what happens is the big government left is suddenly saying, we've got to turn this tide around and we've got to find a way to do it. And I think that was as much what this election fight has been about in Missouri, even more so than any of the individual ballot proposals or candidates.
Mike Ferguson from Mike Ferguson in the Morning every weekday starting at 5:30 a.m. here on News Talk STL.
Now go to bed.
Yeah, Mike, if they, no matter what happens tonight, obviously you're going to be all over it and unpacking it and reacting to it in the morning. And if it does go down that 5 and maybe also 4 don't pass tonight, it's going to really set a tone. It's going to really be an interesting approach that these lawmakers in Jeff City are going to have to take to try to, right the ship and come up with a better way to try to reach out to the voters. If these two things go down in flames tonight, it's going to have massive impact on the future. And I think it's going to make a lot of Republicans look in the mirror and say, how do we do a better job? Because this strategy obviously didn't work. But we'll see how it all plays out as we go through the evening, Mike. Thank you so much for your time. As always, we'll be listening tomorrow.
You got it, gents. Talk to you later.
Great stuff there. Mike Ferguson in the morning again. 5:30 a.m. That's right after I go to bed, Vic.
You can keep it, man. I have a hard enough time getting here at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Somebody who I know has been very passionate, very engaged in these issues, specifically Amendment 4 and Amendment 5, is News Talk STL contributor, the owner of Rockwood Lump Charcoal and Capriati Sandwich Shop, Jonathan Heslop. And Jonathan is in studio with us and will join the conversation next.
Missouri decides 2026
on News Talk STL.
For over 50 years, Freddy's Market has been Webster Grove's family tradition on Big Bend, serving up what matters most: quality you can taste and prices you can trust. Stop in today for our ready-to-eat burgers and hot dogs, fresh daily sandwiches, made-from-scratch deli salads, and our famous store-smoked meats. Whether you're grabbing lunch or planning dinner, we've got you covered with that hometown flavor you've loved for decades. Freddy's Market. Visit us on Big Bend and Webster Groves or online at freddysmarket.com.
Elevate your brand's visibility with Fast Signs of Bridgeton, your local experts in visual solutions. From custom signs and banners to eye-catching graphics and displays, we bring your vision to life. Need indoor decor, outdoor signage, or vehicle wraps? Our team delivers quality and creativity on time, every time. Don't just make a statement, make an impression. Visit Fast Signs of Bridgeton, proud partner of the St. Louis Blues and preferred sign company of St. Louis University Athletics. Visit fastsigns.com.
Tim Jones here to introduce you to your new favorite roofing company, Corel Roofing. There were 4 major storms last year. Did your roof take a hit? Do you even know? Most homeowner insurance policies require claims to be filed within 1 year, so time's running out for a closer look. At Corel Roofing Company, you get a local roofing specialist who will advocate for you every step of the way. Give yourself peace of mind. Schedule your roof inspection today with Corel Roofing at CorelRoofingCo.com. That's CorelRoofingCo.com.
Yo, this is Vic. Vic for Vets is proudly honoring our veterans. Every Wednesday at 11:05, you'll hear about that day's honoree and their incredible service to our country.
Hi, it's Ken. You want to nominate a veteran? Send their name, service information, and story to me, Ken, at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Brought to you by Heroes Care, Alamo Military Collectibles, Gemini Wealth Group, Michael's Funeral Home, and Freddy's Market.
Together, let's celebrate the heroes in our community. Vic for Vets, where honor meets gratitude.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Link, owner of the Dental Link. You've heard ads about teeth in a day, but did you know that you will be chewing on plastic, acrylic teeth? Here at the Dental Link, we can give you porcelain crown and bridge teeth utilizing mini dental implants that function much more like real teeth at about half the cost. Plus, mini dental implants are less invasive, less painful, and your recovery time is much shorter. Give us a call at 314-794-6464 or simply visit us today at thedentallink.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Download the all-new NewsTalk STL app.
Love the all-new NewsTalk STL app.
On my way to work in the morning.
Usually I'm in the car.
I listen on the app in my car every morning going to work.
Download the NewsTalk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere. This is special coverage of
Missouri Decides 2026.
Brought to you by Fast Signs in Bridgeton, 21 Recycling in House Springs, Gemini Wealth Group, and Freddy's Market.
Welcome back into the studio here. Tony Colombo along with Vic Porcelli. Live election coverage all night. We're starting to just get in. Very few number of votes so far. 1% of the vote reporting both Amendment 4 and 5 losing tremendously with just 1%. So, we'll see if that pace holds. This was probably the early voting that we're probably seeing.
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah.
Do they count those now, or do they count today's votes and then count the early voting later?
Now we can ask some of these guys like Travis Wilson or Rodney when we get him on the line later on, or Tim Jones probably knows. But I believe that it's different per county, per state. I don't think everybody does it exactly the same.
Of course. Why would we do it the same?
Right. So we'll see. But I think that some of the local counties have always been really good about having those early voting numbers
Kenny had to do it.
ready to go.
Yeah.
When the polls close, instead of starting the counting, when the polls close.
I'd rather see it today's or early voting only first, and then today's. I'd like to see the difference.
Yeah.
So I'm still skeptical about early voting. And you know what Tim says at the beginning of every show, further away from Election Day you move voting, the more you give people a chance to commit fraud.
Yeah, and at least we don't have the mail-in voting situation here in our area that adds another nightmare scenario to that whole thing. Going through this busy night, we've got lots of great guests coming up. As I mentioned, Travis Wilson, Justin Sparks, Chris Arps, all coming up in the next half hour or so. And right now, joining us live in studios, NewsTalk STL contributor from Rockwood Lump Charcoal and Capriati Sandwich Shop, Jonathan Heslov. Jonathan, you and I have talked a lot about 4 and 5 over the last several weeks as a multiple small business owner in St. Louis. These issues, like so many of the other, business owners across the area, are double important. Income taxes and all of these issues. How are you feeling today as these early numbers don't look so good when it comes to these issues?
I didn't like the looks of this by the time that it went on the ballot. I mean, this is 2 months ago, going back to the amount of mail I started getting littered with, and my own group, the Realtors Association, attacking both of these like they were, and it wasn't looking good from the start. The narrative wasn't that. The arguments that the Republicans come back with, like you said earlier, is just it was too wordy, and it was always on the defense. There really wasn't a plan there for 5 that you could refer to. It was kind of the trust us thing, and while I trust them, most people don't. And I brought in the one piece of mail that I got on voting yes on 4, and it's nothing but text on a postcard. And that's about it. I mean, it's otherwise it was, they're taking away your constitutional rights, and 5% of liberals are going to stop anything in this state. And that's the exact opposite of what was happening. But it does hurt small businesses quite a bit. I mean, look back just a few years ago what the the minimum wage did to us. And luckily, I mean, we're always going to have to be on the defensive now, that whatever they pass through IP next year, they're going to have to go in and try to clean up.
Yeah.
And then likewise,
which is very difficult when it's in the Constitution. It's a much harder thing to tweak than regular
And here's the other problem, too, with them. Anything that we get passed that they don't like, they're just going to do an IP and do it a constitutional amendment, which is really going to wipe out anything. So it's like, it was like the abortion thing years ago. They went too far, even though regardless of how I feel on it, being Catholic and other things, but they went so far over the line with that it made enough people upset that they were able to push that through. And that's what's going to happen now. We're going to have to play this game where we're going to have to kind of lean toward the middle to get things passed and hope the next year that IP doesn't come along and just undo all of it.
Yeah, and that's it exactly. That IP could
We'll
come
never get anything done.
And dodge the legislative process, dodge essentially the voice of the people, because we vote these representatives into office to go represent us in Jeff City.
Yes.
And what we vote for, what we send them to do can be completely dodged, completely end around by these IP reforms and some signatures on a petition and a well-funded special interest group, and that's why we end up with 130 constitutional amendments.
And they know how to do it now. And they've
cracked the code.
They've cracked the code. That's why there's so many of them. I mean, it's been in the Constitution for 108 years or whatever it's been. And, well, there's been like 25 or 30 of them in the last.
Yeah.
There was
15 years,
45 attempts in the last, I think, 10 years it is, on IP, a citizen-led IP. And it's people from out of state coming in, collecting these signatures. They can falsify them. They only need to get like 100-something thousand signatures.
And it's on the ballot.
And then you look at today, you look at the numbers. Yes, they're forecasting 30%. Well, that's not 30% of the state's population. We've got 6.2 million
Great point.
in this state. You've got 4 million or so that are registered. It's like 4.8. I forget where it is exactly.
It's 30% of registered
but
voters.
30%. So you're looking at 1 million people, 1.2 million, 1.3 million are going to come out and vote today. So you only have to get 51% of those. That's 600,000 people. That's not a lot.
And this election, one of the stories of this election, Vic, is that it's big voter turnout.
It's record, yeah.
Typically,
I'm telling you, it was busy. It was busy this morning out in the woods where I live in Jefferson County. I mean, you never have to wait there, but there was a lot of people in there.
A lot of times, if you want to sneak one of these by, you don't even need. You're not even dealing with 30%. You're dealing with more like 15 or 20%, and you just got to get that simple majority. It does not represent the majority of Missouri voters when these amendments have been in the IP process has been taken advantage of by so many special interest groups.
I was just over at the restaurant and picking up these sandwiches for you boys. And
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
It smells amazing in the studio right now.
Look at that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. What's that number? What was the percentage? Did you see it?
6% in.
6%
on the top right.
And no on Amendment 4 with 6% of the vote counted.
And there's 5.
84%.
Which is a little closer.
Yeah. But still the same percentage, 84%.
All right, this drives me
It looks
crazy.
like a lot of people are. This is what we kind of predicted, that if you're a no on one of them, you're probably a no on the other one. So 5 could be dragging 4 down with it.
It's kind of like if you like the Yankees, you like the Giants.
Yeah. I was over at the restaurant, and people were coming in and telling me they just waited an hour to vote.
Wow.
Yeah, they'd waited an hour. So it's, people are out today. We'll see what the turnout is, but it is. It's not more than 1 million people are coming to vote, and that's sad. And that's a problem for us on the Republicans, that it was so important, and we couldn't even, we'll see what comes out of this, but it sounds like we didn't rally enough of our people to go out and vote. I mean, it's so easy.
John, let me ask you a question. You showed us that Amendment 4 mailer that you got.
Yes.
That's for yes, right?
That's for yes.
Okay,
that's one of the only things I received.
Did you
One
get
of the few things I've seen?
Did you get a lot of mail for no?
Oh yeah. I got a lot of mail. I got daily emails from the Realtors Association asking me to come over and hold picket signs and pick up yard signs, all kinds of things.
What would you classify the Realtors Association as? A special interest group?
Oh yeah, and they were hardcore. They gave a lot of money to Claire McCaskill, and she was one that was for real estate tax.
Yeah.
All right, let me ask a couple questions here, maybe ignorant questions. So you got many no Amendment 4 mailers, 1 for Amendment 4 mailers. So obviously more money spent on no than yes, right, in the campaign.
Big
so
time.
this is where the ignorance comes. George Soros part of that? Spending money on a local race like this?
I think that special interests in general, and not every special interest is bad, by the way. There are special interest groups that represent Second Amendment rights.
Right.
There are special interest groups that represent things that we want to protect.
So what about the Soros factor? Do you think that's part of it?
But I think so. I think when you talk about special interest groups, particularly the liberal ones that are usually the ones that are way more active and have taken advantage of these things. And we've, at least here in the state of Missouri, we've seen these special interest groups are well funded by people like George Soros. Some of them specifically by groups that attach
Well, here's
to George
why
Soros.
I ask. Because Elon Musk said he's going to spend a bunch of money helping out conservative issues around the country. So I would think he would have shot some money into Amendment 4 and 5. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I mean,
I am wrong?
I don't know. No, I'm saying I don't know why that doesn't come to fruition on this side. It's also really sad that it has to.
Yeah.
Kind of to your point, Jonathan, like, where was the mess? Where was the communication? Where was the passion? Where was the education of voters to explain how deeply important Amendment 4 was to passing to block this special interest?
I don't think
it just didn't exist.
It's not that it wasn't. It got
drowned
railroaded.
out.
It got railroaded.
Yeah.
It just yeah.
Have you gone on Nextdoor and see what some of the people say about things? Like on Amendment 5. Oh, they're going to tax your health care. If you go to the doctor, you can get taxed on your health care.
20%.
Who told them that?
Just unchecked.
The commercials
unchecked claims.
Right.
The commercials said that you were going to pay that on doctor's visits. You were going to pay it on your real estate when you sell your house.
You brought up a big one a couple weeks ago on the show, the one that was claiming that 5% of Missourians would control the rest. Like,
right.
What number is that?
Where did that come from?
Where did that number come
I'm sure
from?
somehow they figured that out. But, I mean, it goes back to the fact.
They figured out a way to make
They
it.
figured out a way. There's a way. When I took statistics in college and grad school, there is always a way to make that number and that graph show what you want it to show.
Exactly.
That was the main part of the course.
No matter
of
how
statistics
highly unlikely
Yes.
or next to impossible that scenario ever would be,
It's possible.
I guess it's possible.
But yeah.
Jonathan, before we run out of time here, talking to Jonathan Heslop, News Talk STL contributor from Rockwood Lump Charcoal and Capriati Sandwich Shop. You have your own special guest here with a part of the conversation.
I've got my 4 boys here watching. I brought in my oldest.
4 boys!
I've got my oldest son, Jay. He's going to be a senior at St. Louis U High.
He's bigger
than
you, too.
Yeah, he is. He's taller than me. He's eating all those Capriati sandwiches. So he grabbed this out of the newspaper the other day, and I was impressed. So I brought him in here to mention what was on the front page of this newspaper here. Go ahead and read it off.
Yeah, what do we got here?
Rockwood School Board shares concerns on Amendment 5.
And then the next page.
Rockwood administrators receive pay increase.
What? So they're concerned. They're trying to say, like, hey, we're not going to be able to pay our teachers if we pass Amendment 5 and at the same time,
yes.
Oh, by the way, we're paying ourselves.
This is out of the Eureka Leader paper, which is the Jefferson County paper. And look at here. Look, how much are they paying them?
$553,000.
$500,000. They raised their administrators, not the teachers, the administrators' pay. They put on there. And on the back of this article, after you go through it, it says, right now we know Rockwood is already feeling the squeeze. We're actively struggling to fill crucial support staff positions.
Who's the we?
Yeah.
You're not actively struggling if you're a part of that administration team.
So yeah, we're against this, but we're worried about the money. We're worried about it's going to come from, but we're going to give $553,000 to our already bloated administrators. Pretty wild.
Yeah, that is pretty wild. But that is exactly what has been the case throughout this entire election season to this point.
It was a popular thing to do. Just like on the Democrat side, if you hate Trump, that is you're in the club when you're going to get the vote from them.
Mm-hmm.
If you do that. On the other side too, it's like hating on data centers. I don't know much about those things, but if you don't like data centers, you are definitely in the majority to get votes.
It's not, and it's that issue is just not an absolute. Like so many of all these issues, there's so much nuance and context to data centers. There's a lot of negative things that you got to be careful of. But also, you don't want to just hand away all that responsibility and those jobs to other places.
Well, I was in a meeting with a local constructor of data centers, and somebody asked him that question before I could. What's the deal? And he goes, "It's just a popular thing." He says they screwed some up out in the Arizona and New Mexico where they were using like 1 million gallons of water a day or something, and it dragged on things. He goes, "There's all these regulations now," and they had just built the one down in Festus that had all of the problems down there that they were trying to recall the mayor and everybody. everybody about it. He says, we built this thing far away. The electrical grid's fine. He goes, the amount of money that this is going to bring this town that they couldn't do with Walmart or anything else. He said it's going to be a great tax base for them and bring them all kinds of money. And plus, it's security for this country to have our data centers in this country and not in China. And he goes, all this negative stuff that's coming out about him, it's coming from China. I mean, granted, he builds these things for a living, so he wants to be on the pro side of it. But that was the argument about it, and it made a lot of sense. And the other thing he talked about, he goes, if Toyota came in here and wanted to build a plant down there, they would be dancing in the streets and have a parade for him. He goes, the amount of pollution that an auto plant brings to a town with the water and the emissions from all the epoxies and the glues and the paint and everything else, he goes, they're terrible for the environment. And he goes, but everybody rallies, everybody's happy. He goes, this should be the thing with data centers. But I just think people don't know enough about them right now. It's a popular thing to hate on.
Yeah.
So hopefully they work out.
Jonathan Heslop, thank you for coming in. Thank you for the sandwiches. Thank you.
You're welcome. I wanted to bring something bright into your otherwise sad night here. So
well, listen, I appreciate all the insight. Hearing from local business owners is just, and voters is just as important as the politicians and.
I think this will be a wake-up call. This will be a game plan for next year.
Yeah, great stuff. Thank you. Jonathan Heslop from Rockwood Lump Charcoal and Capriati Sandwich Shop. You're listening to election coverage. We're still waiting for some numbers, any numbers in some of these races, like the St. Charles County executive race. Some of the St. Louis County races also still don't really have very many numbers in, just 6% in on Amendments 4 and 5. Hopefully we'll start to see these numbers start to add up and roll in, and we'll keep you up to speed on all these elections as we get these results. As we roll through the night, we're going to be joined by Chris Arps from the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. He'll join the conversation with Vic and I next.
Missouri decides 2026
on News Talk STL.
Looking for unbelievable deals? Stop by Overstock Outlet in Lake St. Louis or Warrenton. Open 7 days a week. Discover big savings on a huge variety of merchandise with no hassle. Just great prices. Visit us in Lake St. Louis on Highway N or in Warrenton on Boones Lake. Check out our Facebook page at Overstock Outlet Lake St. Louis or go online to overstockoutletstl.com. Unbeatable value, friendly service, and you never know what we'll have at Overstock Outlet.
Tired of big corporate repair shops? J&J Auto and Tire is family owned and St. Louis proud. 16 years of honest answers, even when it's not what you want to hear. Digital inspections sent straight to your phone, videos and photos of exactly what we found. No guesswork, no pressure, just a trained service advisor helping you make the right call. Contactless drop-off, loyalty rewards, fleets welcome. All backed by a 2-year, 24,000-mile warranty. J&J Auto and Tire on Page and Overland. Honest repairs, real people. Book today. JamandJAuto.com.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA, SIPC.
Got scrap metal, junk cars, or old appliances taking up space? Turn that clutter into cash. Since 1968, 21 Recycling and Scrap Metal has been the area's trusted name for recycling. We buy copper, brass, aluminum cans, scrap iron, wheels, catalytic converters, AC units, water heaters, washers, dryers, and yes, junk cars too. With our brand new truck scale on premises, getting paid is fast and easy. Old Highway 21 by Highway M or 21-recycling.com.
News Talk STL. This is special coverage of
Missouri Decides 2026.
Brought to you by Fast Signs in Bridgeton, 21 Recycling in House Springs, Gemini Wealth Group, and Freddy's Market.
Welcome back into the studio here at News Talk STL. Tony Colombo and Vic Porcelli with you on this election night. Watching some of the early numbers come in. Very early, but not looking good for Amendments 4 and 5 with 6% of the vote in so far. It's 84% no on both of those issues. An interesting race developing when we talk about state representative for District 97 and the Republican side there. There's not a whole lot of Republican primary. There's a lot of folks like Nick Schroer, we mentioned earlier, running unopposed. But where there are primary races tonight, there's going to be some really interesting results and interesting races to watch. We're obviously waiting to get some kind of information from the St. Charles County Executive Republican primary. District 97, David Castile versus David Robertson with 18% of the vote, and Robertson ahead of the incumbent David Castile there with 61% of the vote to about 39% of the vote. But still very early in a lot of these races. I think a lot of the numbers that we're seeing to this point have to do with the early voting numbers. So we're going to keep an eye on all of it as we continue to go through this very busy night. Joining us on the line now from the Tim Jones and Chris Harps Show, the great Chris Harps. Weekend Report in the house, my friend. How are you?
Good evening, Tim. I almost called you Tim.
That's all right,
Tony
babe.
Colombo, king of election night coverage. This is such an honor for me.
He
Thank
stole
you
that
for
from
having
me.
Well, listen, buddy, I couldn't do it without you, and I can't do it without Vic. And Cole is our producer in the studio here today. So, we're just starting to get a peek at some of these things, like Amendment 4 and Amendment 5. Definitely not off to a great start at all for either one of those things. Still waiting for some numbers for some of these other key races, Chris. How do you feel about the way that things are shaping up tonight at this early stage?
Well, I had on the show at 5:20 David Barklage, who is the premier Republican consultant in Missouri. He was working in opposition to Amendment 4 and 5, and his polling showed that Amendment 4 and 5 is probably going to go down 2-1. The early results show that it's not getting off to a good start, so he could be correct in that assessment.
Yeah, it's even worse than that at this point. 7% of the vote in, both at 80. Both no on 4 is 83.1%. No on 5 is 83.7%. Again, that's just 7% of the vote in, but that you've done this enough, Chris. You and I have done this many times. Watch these these numbers come in. Definitely, there can be a big change in momentum, but a lot of times you kind of get an idea of the way that the pace is being set pretty early on, and it's really ugly right now for 4 and 5.
Look, I've been in enough races where when the early results came in and they were really, really lopsided, it was going to be a long night for your candidate or for that ballot initiative. I don't see, even though only 7% of the vote is in, I don't see Amendment 4 or 5 making up that much ground, even though it is still early. But that's a big indicator when you see a huge, huge lead early. Usually don't make up that difference.
All right, let's talk about St. Charles. Hi, Chris. How are you, my friend?
Vic, you still up? I thought you'd be.
What is that supposed to mean? No, I'm just kidding. Let's talk about the St. Charles County executive race. Only 2% in, but Steve Ellman 2-1 over Bill Eigel. He's got 5,608 votes. Bill Eigel 2,749. Now we talked about turnout, Chris. Does a big turnout help Eigel, or does a big turnout help Ellman?
You know what? I think a big turnout helps Bill Eigel because Bill Eigel has painted himself as kind of a populist. This is a populist election, and it's a populist kind of political climate. You see that on the left and on the right. I wouldn't put too much stock in those early numbers. There's probably a lot of precincts that are for Bill Eigel have not come in yet, so I would hold off on thinking that Steve Ellman is cruising his way to victory. I know this from firsthand experience when I worked on Bill Corrigan's St. Louis County executive race in 2011, and he had a pretty substantial lead throughout the whole night. And then the North County votes came in, and we just gradually saw that lead dwindle until he was behind. He ended up ultimately losing.
Chris, interesting update here. The first time we've seen numbers out of the congressional race for District 1. I mentioned all this national media. The most covered Missouri race that I've seen in the national media is Cori Bush's bid to come back to Congress. 16% of the vote in Wesley Bell was 76.8%.
Wow.
Still very early there, but maybe not so much for the comeback kid, Cori Bush.
Yeah, she's going to have an uphill battle again. But as I said earlier, you have to wait until North County and North City come in. Those are usually the last ballots to come in. But that's a pretty substantial lead early in the race. You know, I said during the weeks leading up to this election, I think Cori Bush was making a huge mistake. If you look at all the other blue wave DSA candidates, they kind of created a broad coalition of, your white educated, female educated voters, kind of your DSA socialist types. I didn't see Cori Bush really trying to attract those type of people. If you went to her Facebook page, if you saw all of her advertisements, she was focusing on trying to get the black turnouts, North City, North County. That's where she seems to put most of her eggs in her basket. And I don't think that's going to be enough to overtake Wesley Bell. Another factor I think that Cori Bush just had going against her, she's just not very likable.
Yeah, you tell me about it. Tell me about it. I never thought that. I didn't think that she had this momentum that that all these news agencies were trying to act like she had. And at least if the early vote is to be believed, she definitely does not have that momentum. But we'll keep an eye on that race and all these others as we go through the night.
And I tell you too, Tony, I think that if the DSA leaders, the socialists, would have thought that she would have had a chance, I think you would have seen AOC in her campaigning.
That's a great point. We would have seen more, participation from the party in the St. Louis area if they really thought that was legit. Chris Arps will be listening tomorrow afternoon, every afternoon, 4 to 6 p.m., the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Thanks so much, buddy. Look forward to talking to you again soon, and we'll be listening tomorrow.
Hey, and don't keep Vic up too late.
I'll try not to.
What's with keeping Vic up too late?
Somebody that knows what it's like to deal with Missouri politics, former Missouri State Representative Justin Sparks joins our election coverage next.
Does Cori Bush know that Wesley Bell is black?
Missouri decides 2026
on News Talk STL.
Elevate your brand's visibility with Fast Signs of Bridgeton, your local experts in visual solutions. From custom signs and banners to eye-catching graphics and displays, we bring your vision to life. Need indoor decor, outdoor signage, or vehicle wraps? Our team delivers quality and creativity on time, every time. Don't just make a statement, make an impression. Visit Fast Signs of Bridgeton, proud partner of the St. Louis Blues and preferred sign company of St. Louis University Athletics. Visit FastSigns.com.
For over 50 years, Freddy's Market has been Webster Grove's family tradition on Big Bend. Serving up what matters most, quality you can taste and prices you can trust. Stop in today for our ready-to-eat burgers and hot dogs, fresh daily sandwiches, made-from-scratch deli salads, and our famous store-smoked meats. Whether you're grabbing lunch or planning dinner, we've got you covered with that hometown flavor you've loved for decades. Freddy's Market. Visit us on Big Bend and Webster Groves or online at freddysmarket.com.
Dreaming about a vacation but not sure where to start? Should you book that all-inclusive resort or a cruise? Which destination? What cruise line? And how do you know you're getting the best value? That's where Magic Expeditions comes in. We're your St. Louis local travel experts, helping you choose the vacation that fits. Whether a relaxing, adults-only escape, family-friendly resort, or unforgettable cruise adventure, skip the stress, the guessing, and endless online searching. Visit MagicExpeditions.com. That's MagicExpeditions.com.
It's a pretty simple concept.
It is clear to me.
Let me make this clear.
Big events.
Your news and your opinions.
We're going to get out there and be heard.
St. Louis's place to talk.
Our voices are never heard in the media. We the people will always find a way.
And it's about time that we start putting up or shutting up.
Yeah, and you should come. You should listen to many voices.
101.9 and 94.1.
Their phone lines have surely been burning up.
News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Carrying ammunition and with a gun in his car was arrested Sunday at President Trump's Los Angeles area golf course after appearing to monitor security preparations 2 days ahead of Trump's fundraiser there. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department said Janine John Taylor, 38, was taking photos and video and had a 16-round magazine with ammunition in his pocket. Authorities recovered a loaded pistol in his car. Law enforcement searched his home in the nearby city of Downey on Monday and found a plethora of firearms, magazines, and ammunition, body armor, and notebooks with concerning statements. Chipotle Mexican Grill is removing jalapenos from some of its restaurants.
Jalapenos could potentially be tied to a salmonella outbreak. The Minnesota Department of Health confirmed an outbreak there is tied to several Mexican-style quick-service restaurants, and jalapenos are the suspected source. Officials identified 110 cases in Minnesota, with Chipotle involved in most. Chipotle says it pulled the jalapenos out of an abundance of caution and replaced them with products from a different grower in all locations. Symptoms of salmonella poisoning include diarrhea, fever, severe vomiting, dehydration, and stomach cramps. But infections can be more severe in young children, older adults, and people with weakened immune systems. I'm Ed Donahue.
Michigan will offer the country its clearest gauge yet on the direction of the Democratic Party. Although there have been similar contests around the country, this one will hold extra weight because Michigan is a key state in presidential races. Abdul El Sayed, backed by Senator Bernie Sanders, is up against four-term Representative Haley Stevens, supported by Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Progressive knows you could have easily taken the freeway, but you took the scenic route to see a waterfall and an oddly busy boiled peanut stand. Discovering the unexpected is exactly why you bought an RV, so protect it with a bundle from Progressive. Because although you may be 3 hours behind schedule, you're 6 jars of jam richer and possibly enrolled in a butter-churning workshop. Switch to Progressive and protect your RV, boat, or motorcycle by bundling with your home and auto insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Hey, y'all, I'm Willie Robertson.
And I'm Corey Robertson.
We partnered with Echo. It's a new platform, not just streaming.
Movies and series that are safe for your family. I love a podcast.
Plus, Echo Daily Devotionals.
Echo. Hey, Willie, what is Echo?
Echo is my pet squirrel. Okay, now, Echo is not just faith-friendly, it is faith-driven.
Be a part of something better.
Echo.
Echo.
Where I want to be.
That's EKKL.com.
Subscribe now.
A decision that impacts border wall construction, correspondent John Scott reports.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Another near-normal hot day on the way Wednesday with some storms too. A low of 71 and a high of 90 on Wednesday. Mostly sunny, turning partly cloudy. The chance for storms comes in the evening, especially the late evening for St. Louis. A low chance for some strong winds with any storms late evening Wednesday. Then overnight into Thursday, more scattered storms are likely. Some could produce some isolated pockets of flooding into Thursday morning. A low of 70 Thursday morning. Then in the afternoon, mostly cloudy. Slim chance for a few showers Thursday afternoon. The better chance will come Thursday night, and a high of 85 as it cools down but stays muggy for Thursday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Window World of St. Louis. For replacement windows, doors, and siding, call 800-GET-WINDOWS. That's 800-GET-WINDOWS.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA, SIPC.
There's always something to celebrate in Augusta, Missouri, just 1 hour from St. Louis. Every season brings festivals and special events you won't want to miss. Hop the free trolley to 10 wineries in America's first wine district. Bike the Katy Trail and explore historic small-town charm. Make Augusta your next getaway. Find events and cozy B&Bs at visitaugusta-chamber.org.
Coming soon, the return of the Defiance Roadhouse. Located on Highway 94 along the Missouri River, this long-standing fixture is known for its biker-friendly atmosphere, live music, and decades as a beloved community gathering place. Rev your engines and stand by for the grand opening, early September. The Roadhouse is back.
Fall means the return of Mizzou football. And this year promises another great season of SEC action. There's no better place to catch every game than Harpo's in Chesterfield. With its excellent sports bar atmosphere and the best patio in West County, Harpo's is your Tiger headquarters. Harpo'sSTL.com.
Hey, when pests invade your home, you need someone you can trust. It's Jamie Allman here, and at Buckingham Pest Control, they're not just your exterminators. They're your neighbors and friends. A locally owned family business and St. Louis Magazine A-List award winner, providing affordable, quality pest control. Plus, they offer energy-efficient TAP attic insulation, the only insulation that controls pests. BuckinghamPestControl.com. That's BuckinghamPestControl.com.
This is special coverage of
Missouri Decides 2026.
Brought to you by Fast Signs in Bridgeton, 21 Recycling in House Springs, Gemini Wealth Group, and Freddy's Market.
Oh, welcome back live into the studio here at News Talk STL. Election night across the state of Missouri. We've got more numbers coming in. Vic Porcelli in studio with me. I'm Tony Colombo here. We're going to talk to former Missouri State Representative, our law enforcement expert on Colombo and Company each and every week. Justin Sparks is going to be on the line with us in just a moment. What did you say? Amendment 5 is getting slapped around.
It really is.
It really is.
Spank me, Daddy, really bad.
We got a race called already. Ann Wagner winning the Republican primary in Missouri's 2nd congressional district. No big surprise there, but the first official call of the night. As Vic mentioned, both 4 and 5 amendments going down in flames, at least at this early stage. Still, I believe, less than 10%. We're at 11%. We're at 11% of the vote in now. Amendment 4 is 82.9% no. Amendment 5 is 83.7% no. Wesley Bell's got a big lead over Corey Bush in Missouri House District 1 with 16% of the vote in. Let's see.
I got a couple of them.
Yeah, St. Charles County Executive. The Republican primary there. Again, very early here. I'm seeing 2% of the vote. I think there's a little bit more than that, so I'll try to get a full update here in a second. But with 2% of the vote in, Steve Ellman with 54.7% of the vote, Bill Eigel 26.8%, and Jason Law with 16.8%. So just some of the races that we are keeping an eye on. Do you have a couple more?
Just a couple, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Tricia Burns. In District 10, wasn't she the one, Tony, that called the suicide hotline and told them she's got a gun to her head? Wasn't that her?
Oh, I remember that.
I'm pretty sure that was her.
I think so.
Yeah, she's winning 59% to 40% with 12% of the vote in. And our buddy Mike Elam is up pretty good, 68% to 31% with 10% of the vote in the St. Charles County Council.
Yes.
District 3.
Speaking of St. Charles County Council, District 5, Republican Terry Hollander in the Republican primary there. Terry Hollander with a big early lead over Judy Gambino. Hollander with 71% of the vote. Gambino with 28.6, 11% of the vote in. So still very early, but some patterns and a pace being set in many of these races. We'll continue to keep an eye on all of them and keep you up to speed as we go through the evening. Let's get Justin Sparks on the line with us now. Justin, thanks as always for your time, my friend. And you and I have been talking a lot on Colombo and Company about the struggle that Amendment 4 and Amendment 5 have and the messaging issue. And unfortunately, it seems to be coming to fruition, all those concerns, maybe even more than I thought it would with how badly these two amendments are losing at this point. How you feeling about the way this election night is shaping up?
Tony, how you doing, man?
Doing good. Did you hear that?
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, this is sadly an indictment on the current state of affairs and a litmus test on just how far and how badly our political class has lost the trust of the people. You have a significant portion of the population and voter-elect that simply are on the opposite sides of this issue. But what we really have done is we have lost the trust of the people when it came to these two amendments, in my opinion. Amendment 5 had its own problems. In my opinion, reducing the income tax was the most straightforward way to do it was a simple bill by a supermajority of Republicans and the governor, and yet they chose to try to please too many people, in my opinion, in how this strategy, and unfortunately, it just seems like it had too much opposition, and it just didn't make sense for the common person, for the straightforward person that's working every day. It just didn't make a lot of sense. Why in the world are we reducing the income tax with an initiative petition? And I understood their frustration. It was hard to understand for somebody that's working 60 hours a week and has a lot on their plate. And with Amendment 4, I just couldn't be more sickened to my stomach right now, because we're in uncharted territory now. We're in the territory that leads us to be Colorado.
So let me ask you this. This is something you and I have talked about a lot recently, going back to your time in Jeff City, going back to your first year, which is now been 5 years since that first year that you were in. We were talking on the air about how important IP reform was 5 years ago and how it was the number one priority. And I heard it over and over from other Republican lawmakers, how it's the number one priority, and it took years to finally get on the ballot. It took a special session called by the governor last summer to get this on the ballot, and now all of that work, all of that, pressure to get lawmakers to act and to get this on the ballot and to get something done, looks like it's going to go down in flames. It does also make me sick to my stomach, because where does it leave us moving forward with the concerns that we have with this amendment process in the state?
So, gentlemen, I told my Republican colleagues years ago that if we didn't do what the people had been crying for, screaming for, if we didn't show them something legitimate immediately, we were going to lose, and we were going to lose badly. The political class is now reaping seeds that were sown years ago. It was too late. It is clear the confidence is not there. It is clear we're losing the will and the trust of the people. This is predictable. This is what happens. History is repeating itself. And now we are in real trouble. And what folks don't understand is just how fast this is going to occur. That the amount of money that is targeting and has been targeting Missouri to manipulate the Constitution and is waiting in the wings with over 100 different things to legislate through the Constitution and abuse the system. It is wild how chaotic and how fast this will occur, and there will be almost nothing we can do about it. This is a gut check moment. This is a moment for humility. This is a moment, honestly, for prayer for those of us that pray, because we're looking at a state that I know I'm sounding dramatic here. I can't be any more hyperbolic about this. This is a huge deal. This is talking about essentially emasculating and inoculating the power of the legislature. And there are plenty of people that love to see this. You have radical leftists that are going to be so happy that conservatives ate their own on Amendment 4, because that's exactly what happened. And folks don't realize the temperature and the climate of where we find ourselves politically in Missouri tonight. We're talking uncharted territory.
So, hi, Justin. It's Vec. How you doing, man?
Good to hear from you, brother.
Thank you, baby. So, it's a huge deal, right? You just said that exact phrase. Huge deal. We knew it was a huge deal going into tonight. Now tonight we stand here and say, oh, my God, 4 and 5 are getting slapped around. Did we not see this coming? Was there no defense mechanism we could have done before tonight?
Yeah, 100%. It's the same old story. Unfortunately, it's what President Adams, it's what John Adams was afraid of, that our system of government breaks down and our constitutional republic only works for people that are righteous and good and moral, with a political class that is doing it for the right reasons. Okay, yeah, great. That's a big picture thing looking back at the founders. But it really is true. When you no longer have a political class that will do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, instead becomes overly focused on getting reelected and handing things out to people and special interests in order to maintain power, then this is exactly the result you get. And what we needed politicians to put their own money where their mouth is in regards to Amendment 4 so that the message could be relayed. I know many of them that did that. I know actual real dyed-in-the-wool conservatives that went to town hall after town hall after town hall. They were opposed by folks that have completely lost confidence in the political class. In terms of both parties, they're sick to death. They have decided they don't believe anything. And you have to remember, this goes all the way back to when the original push for initiative petition happened years ago when I was in the House, and it died on the Senate floor by cloak and dagger with Caleb Rowden leading the Senate. Tony remembers this.
Yeah.
We watched it happen in real time. We watched promises
multiple
be broken
years in a row. Yeah.
multiple times in a row. And I was afraid back then, screaming to high heaven, the damage that was being done to the electorate could be catastrophic. And I think we're seeing some of that tonight.
Yeah, one of the biggest concerns with all of this is that while some of these other races are shaping up in maybe ways that feel like are very positive and may give some hope, and you should have that hope and optimism for the future, the problem is that no matter how strong the legislative body is, and we know, Justin, that there's always a little bit of a question about the strength of the legislative body, with Amendment 4 not passing, and it doesn't look like it's going to, this allows an end around. This allows a workaround to the legislative process, to the representatives sent to the Jefferson City by the voters. So, as important as these races are, Amendment 4 is kind of that out card that can be played by these groups. Justin Sparks, really appreciate your time. As always, my friend, look forward to talking to you again very soon. Thanks for joining us this evening.
Good night, guys.
Yeah, great stuff there. Another call, Scott Fitzpatrick in the Republican race for Missouri Auditor has been declared the victor there. We mentioned earlier, Ann Wagner, also projected winner of Missouri U.S. House District 2 in the Republican primary there. Bob Onder leading in the U.S. House District 3. With 11% of the vote in, Congressman Onder has nearly 65% of the vote. And Vic, they have got the check mark next to Wesley Bell.
I'll be damned.
The comeback kid,
Yeah.
Cori Bush, who's gotten all this national news lately about her attempt to get back into the United States Congress.
I don't know how she got in the first time.
Looks
to be
like
honest.
it's already over with, baby.
Good.
As Wesley Bell has been projected the winner of Missouri District 1 on that Democratic primary side. One of the candidates that is in their own race today, I don't know how to handle this. We're going to be joined by State Rep Travis Wilson here in a second, Vic.
Yep.
He's in a race right now. Last I saw, and I'll get the exact numbers here in just a second, he was ahead. Are we allowed to talk to him? Is it like a pitcher throwing a no-hitter in the middle of an election like this?
No.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is he superstitious? It's up to him.
I don't know what the superstitions are there.
It's up to him.
I guess we're going to find out.
Otherwise, he sits way over there, and the whole team sits on this side of the dugout.
State Rep Travis Wilson is going to join us next. You're listening to live election coverage here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
On News Talk STL.
Elevate your brand's visibility with Fast Signs of Bridgeton, your local experts in visual solutions. From custom signs and banners to eye-catching graphics and displays, we bring your vision to life. Need indoor decor, outdoor signage, or vehicle wraps? Our team delivers quality and creativity on time, every time. Don't just make a statement, make an impression. Visit Fast Signs of Bridgeton, proud partner of the St. Louis Blues and preferred sign company of St. Louis University Athletics. Visit fastsigns.com.
Ronald Reagan once famously said, "Government is not the solution, government is the problem." When it comes to economic growth, government can be a roadblock. With red tape, regulations, and subsidies, government stifles entrepreneurship and also props up businesses that deserve to go under. Unlike government, free markets encourage risk-taking, freedom to succeed or fail. Governments shouldn't be picking winners and losers, the market should. Free markets benefit the business owner and the customer by encouraging competition. Free market enabled a young man named J.C. Hall, selling picture postcards in Kansas City, to turn his idea into Hallmark cards. In St. Louis, the free market made it possible for Adolphus Busch to turn his father-in-law's local beer into the world's largest brewery. A free market also means you get to send your kids to the school of your choice. Learn more about free markets at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Got scrap metal, junk cars, or old appliances taking up space? Turn that clutter into cash. Since 1968, 21 Recycling and Scrap Metal has been the area's trusted name for recycling. We buy copper, brass, aluminum cans, scrap iron, wheels, catalytic converters, AC units, water heaters, washers, dryers, and yes, junk cars too. With our brand new truck scale on premises, getting paid is fast and easy. Old Highway 21 by Highway M or 21-recycling.com.
For over 50 years, Freddy's Market has been Webster Grove's family tradition on Big Bend, serving up what matters most: quality you can taste and prices you can trust. Stop in today for our ready-to-eat burgers and hot dogs, fresh daily sandwiches, made-from-scratch deli salads, and our famous store-smoked meats. Whether you're grabbing lunch or planning dinner, we've got you covered with that hometown flavor you've loved for decades. Freddy's Market. Visit us on Big Bend and Webster Groves or online at freddysmarket.com.
This is special coverage of
Missouri Decides 2026.
Brought to you by Fast Signs in Bridgeton, 21 Recycling in House Springs, Gemini Wealth Group, and Freddy's Market.
Welcome back into the studio here. Election coverage on News Talk STL. I'm Tony Colombo alongside Vic Porcelli. I don't know if that superstition thing is a real thing. Missouri State Representative Travis Wilson, we're going to talk to him a little bit later on tonight. We're going to talk to him here in just a few minutes. But actually, I think it's better to wait a little bit. We are looking at some of these numbers right now. Travis Wilson is in District 106 in St. Charles, 19% of the vote in that race. Representative Wilson is ahead 65% to 35%.
As we pitching a no-hitter?
Yeah, right? Yeah,
like no-hitter going?
Do you talk to a person that's right in the middle of something like that, or do you got to, stay away? As we mentioned, Scott Fitzpatrick in the auditor Republican primary has been declared the winner, and Wagner has been declared the winner of her race. State Senator in District 2, Nick Schroer's got 100% of the vote.
What? Oh, my God.
Running unopposed.
Nothing for his imaginary opponent?
Bob Onder in District 3 with 17% of the vote counted in that race. Congressman Onder is winning 65 to 35%. And Wesley Bell has already been projected the winner in District 1 in the Democratic primary there against Cori Bush, who was supposed to be, according to many national media outlets, on her big comeback run. But with 26% of the vote in, Wesley Bell has 70.7% of the vote.
Unbelievable.
Over Cori Bush's 25%. So nearly 3-1 there for Congressman Bell in District 1. Another interesting note here, we've talked a lot about voter turnout. According to a report being issued by Fox 2, voter turnout in St. Louis County, just St. Louis County now, The Missouri primary is estimated to have 28% voter turnout. So that's a pretty big number. We were kind of talking about how 30% would be a really big number for a primary. August primary and a midterm election year.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, we'll get to him in a little bit. Yeah. It's interesting to see the level of turnout that we have seen here and the impact that it is having. So, anything particular besides the the landslide against amendments 4 and 5? Let me get the latest here. Oh, so they are now calling it. They are now projecting that it is over for both Amendment 4 and Amendment 5, with 18% of the vote counted for Amendment 4, 81.8% to the no. So Amendment 4 has failed. And Amendment 5 with 17% of the vote, 83, it's even worse, 83.6 on the no. So Amendment 5 has failed. That is a landslide. We'll see where it all shakes out. Maybe it gets a little closer as the night goes on, but that is amazing and makes my stomach hurt because
it's back to the drawing board.
We've handed the keys to the Missouri Constitution to the special interest groups.
Yep.
And I don't know who to be mad at. I don't know if I should be mad at the various PACs and special interest groups funding the lies that we've seen in the political ads, if I should be mad at the pro-Amendment 4 crowd who didn't put up a fight for this.
This can't be something.
Or mad at the voters for not understanding what they're voting on, because I just cannot believe that if people truly understood that they would not vote for Amendment 4.
Well, that's why I asked what I asked before when we were talking to Justin Sparks, that to get beaten this badly, both of those amendments get beaten that badly, we didn't see that coming. That just boggles the mind on why we didn't see it coming. And and maybe I'm ignorant, I don't know, but Elon Musk should have thrown a whole bunch of money into this.
I don't know one person that would have said it would have been this bad of a landslide.
Exactly right.
So, a lot of people today were saying, in the last 24, 48 hours, were feeling that Amendment 5 was in big trouble. And a lot of people that I was talking to on and off the air were predicting that Amendment 5 wouldn't make it. Most of those people also thought that Amendment 4 was going to face a similar struggle, but to a person, everybody said, but there's a chance. Amendment 4 might have a chance. The reality is it had no chance.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We should have known in advance and done something in advance and be on the offensive. Have you ever heard two guys from 9 to noon saying that? Be on the offensive to get it done before Election Day instead of sitting here crying and saying, oh, my God, we got killed. What did we do wrong? Well, you should have thought about what you did wrong before you did something wrong. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to tell a quick story. Did you vote today?
I did.
Where did you vote? Up in St. Charles?
Which time?
Oh,
St. Charles County.
Wow, look at him doing the old Democratic switcheroo.
St. Charles County, St. Peters, baby.
I just want to, just a quick story. We voted at Southwest Middle School, and there was nobody there. We just walked right in. But this is how stupid I am. I didn't know that the people that are the poll workers can't see your ballot. They're not allowed to see your ballot. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't know that. So one of the people on the, one of the things was the county prosecutor or something, and there was no name. It said no one filed. And I showed the guy, look, if I had only known, and my wife goes, no, he can't see that. Oh, let me put it a little closer. If I'd only known, she goes, no, he's not supposed to see it. I was like, oh, okay. Oh, my God. So I got in trouble for that at home.
Yeah. There's a lot to cover as we go through the night here. I want to bring in our Missouri political insider, Rodney Boyd.
Can't wait for this.
Nobody understands Missouri politics better than Rodney Boyd. Real quick, before we get to Rodney, I just want to do a quick update here. As we just mentioned, Amendments 4 and 5 have officially failed. Wesley Bell is the projected winner over Corey Bush. Let's see. St. Charles County executive race, 17% of the vote in. Steve Ellman continues to lead that race with 51.7% of the vote. Bill Eigel at 29%. Jason Law at 17%. Adam Wagner has won her race. In St. Charles County Council District 3, Mike Elam leading big time, 68% of the vote in that race. District 5 on the county council, Terry Hollander leads over Judy Gambino, 70.7% to 29.2%. I mentioned Ad Wagner's race was called. So has been Wesley Bell, and there's another one that I know has been called also. As I look,
Nick Schroer, I think.
Nick Schroer has won his unopposed race. Scott Fitzpatrick, Missouri auditor, in that Republican primary there, has been declared the winner in that race as well. So that is an update. Bob Onder continues to lead in House District number 3. The congressman leading that primary, 65% to 34%. So that's a quick look at some of the top races. We're going to continue to keep you updated on all the latest numbers as they come in, and we are going to be joined by our Missouri political insider, Rodney Boyd's going to help unpack all of this next as you're listening to special election coverage on News Talk STL.
Missouri decides 2026
on News Talk STL. What happens next?
The U.S. strikes in retaliation.
Happens right here.
These are evil, sick people, and we have to rid their cancer.
Iran will not have nuclear weapons.
1019 and 94.1.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Do you know why I endorse Cafe Napoli, all the locations? Visit any of them, and you will quickly appreciate the quality of food, service, atmosphere. So maybe I'll see you at Cafe Napoli in Clayton, Napoli Kirkwood, Napoli 2 in Town and Country, Napoli 3 in St. Charles, right next door to Napoli C. Or maybe you'll find me at Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in the Chesterfield Valley. Now you know why I endorse Napoli, NapoliSTL.com.
At Body of Health, we're a small but mighty family operation with big ambitions for your health. I'm Helene Tobler, and I'm jazzed about how our MRI-grade body composition analyzer is putting personalized health and wellness on steroids. It helps me and Dr. Tobler, that's my husband, refine the advice we give to help you feel better and live longer. Body of Health, trusted, discerning, affordable health care the way it ought to be. Learn more at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 2 times every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. You could also reach Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Colombo and Company.
The voters in Missouri have spoken, and now it's time to unpack the results and discuss the impact those decisions will have on our future. We'll get into it Wednesday with Missouri political insider Rodney Boyd.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL. This is special coverage of
Missouri Decides 2026.
Brought to you by Fast Signs in Bridgeton, 21 Recycling in House Springs, Gemini Wealth Group, and Freddy's Market.
Election night across the state of Missouri, and things are really starting to heat up. We're getting a lot of numbers in and getting a really good idea of how these elections are shaping up. As I mentioned, some of the races that have been called already. Scott Fitzpatrick and his Missouri auditor Republican primary has been projected the winner, and Wagner has won in House District number 2. Wesley Bell has defeated in the Democratic primary Corey Bush. That race got over pretty quickly. We have Jason Smith out in U.S. House District 8 winning the congressman there winning his primary. tonight. Amendments 4 and 5 have already failed, already being projected as going down in flames, with both of those amendments getting defeated by, at this point, over 80% of the vote when it comes to both 4 and 5. I'm Tony Colombo in studio with Vic Porcelli, and we are now joined on the line by our Missouri political insider, Rodney Boyd. Rodney, you and I have talked a lot in recent weeks about all of these races and tried to unpack it and get an idea of the momentum. I think you and I both knew, I think everybody knew, that there was a big struggle for Amendments 4 and 5. I didn't think it was going to be this bad. It's bad. What do you make of these races for these amendments 4 and 5, and anything else jumping out at you in at this stage of the election?
So the amendments sort of went the way that my micro conversations were indicating when I talk with people. You and I talked about just interactions with everyday people who were starting to read these things. At the end of the day, in the Show Me State, we're relatively consistent. If we don't understand a ballot measure or a question, if we don't understand it and we don't trust it, we typically vote no, right? And so that's not something unique to this particular election. And I think the challenge that both of these ballot measures had is they were very substantive measures. These weren't quick read type things. I told you I talked to people who were bankers, lawyers, PhDs, who had read both these measures and had more questions than I could answer in a 60-second conversation or a 2 or 3 minute conversation. And they looked at me as someone that should have a quick answer, because they said, well, we associate you with Jeff City and politics, and you can't give us a clear answer, or you can't tell us. So those kind of sentiments were palpable across the state. So it wasn't that these two measures that they didn't pass or went down. If you look at the numbers, it's overwhelming.
Overwhelming.
80 percentages against. What does that really say? It says that the people that were trying to advance these measures didn't do a good job of clearly stating the what and the why, right? Mm-hmm. And so voters rejected them. It still leaves lingering the challenges that these two ballot measures were trying to address. What's left to do now is to sort of just lick your wounds from losing these two. But at some point, we still have to have a conversation. And maybe tonight isn't the night, but we have to have a conversation about Missouri's tax structure. You and I said this a couple of days ago. I'll say it again. The current income tax model is inadequate to provide the financial structure that this state needs going into the next 10 to 20 years. Something's got to give. It wasn't Amendment 5. And the way we amend our Constitution makes us vulnerable for a lot of things that people may or may not want to see happen. Makes it easy for those things to happen to a certain degree if you've got the money. Those are two very real conditions that will impede Missouri's ability to be her best or to move into the 21st century. So we have to figure it out. But for tonight, the voters have spoken. And when voters have spoken, we should listen. And that's the real thing I think we're going to be dissecting in the weeks to come. What have the voters said? Did they say that they don't care about the ease of amending the state constitution? I don't think so. Did they say that they don't care about the state's financial structure and challenges? I don't think so. I think they said that the proposals that were put before them today were not what they were willing to buy into. So the answer was, on both of those propositions, a resounding no.
Rodney, it's Vic Porcelli. How you doing? Good to talk to you.
Good.
Finally.
Yes.
Messaging, I think I'm hearing you say, was not good, right? Our messaging on this amendment, especially Amendment 5, because I think they use too many colloquialisms, if that's what you want to call them. We got to keep politicians on a leash, like these phrases. What does that mean? Keep them on a short leash. They don't even know what that means. I think they really had to be specific.
A lot of slogans, a lot of gimmicks.
Right, exactly. Slogans, gimmicks, nothing
not true
specific.
Understanding. Yeah.
And tell them, no, you're not going to get taxed when you go to the doctor.
Right. Well, your comment is, I think, a huge sort of reflection of the sentiment. Everybody said, step one, we get. Eliminate the state income tax. That I can wrap my brain around. But the idea that you can't give me some indication of what comes next, that's a bridge too far that was a bridge too far clearly for 85 or 86% of the people that voted no, right? People wanted to have a sense of, give us some credible, non-goalpost movable sense of what would come next, and then you might have a shot. And when that was not able to be done because the process was, hey, we need step one before we could have that real process, people said no. We live in a state where people are not inclined to sort of just say, okay, I'll trust the government because they're going to do what's right. And once again, it doesn't matter what party's in charge.
Mm-hmm.
That's just who we are as Missourians. It doesn't matter Republican. So I thought that.
And that's a healthy mindset, by the way, at least in my opinion. But
that's why the way this was structured was a heavy, almost implausible lift because you couldn't tell the voters, we're not going to tax you. We're not going to tax your dentist. We're not going to, there's not going to be more taxes on your barber. You're not going to pay more taxes for your plumber. Because we didn't have those answers to give. So, what implicitly we're saying was, give us the tool and trust us to go build a tax policy that's going to be good for you. And like you said, the colloquial and all that stuff is the problem is you take these big policy issues and then you bring in these political sort of campaign firms that are used to putting everything into a 60-second soundbite because they only have 30 or 60 seconds because the ads are expensive. And that's just not the way you're going to do enormously life-changing tax policy in a state like Missouri. It's just not going to work that way. We know that. So in the years to come, this issue will have to be revisited. And I hope that the lessons that we learn from tonight are you got to appeal to people's common sense, trust their common judgment, and tell them what you ultimately are going to do, and give them a sense of certainty as to what they're voting for. I think that uncertainty was too much of a heavy lift on Amendment 5, for sure. Yeah, and it spilled over to Amendment 4 as well.
I hope you're right. I hope they do revisit these things. When it comes to Amendment 4, when it comes to IP reform, we've been screaming about this for nearly 10 years, and we finally get this opportunity. So I don't know when we're going to get another crack at this. Rodney, we're almost out of time. We've got just a couple minutes left here with Rodney Boyd, Missouri political insider, as we unpack these elections. Here's an interesting dichotomy that we've seen across the state of Missouri today. These two amendments that have gone down in flames, both would be, the conservative party in Missouri was the one that made the argument for yes on 4 and yes on 5. And they've both lost by over 80% of the vote at this point. However, when you look across at the Republican incumbents in the state of Missouri, they are winning comfortably. Ann Wagner winning by a large margin. Also, Bob Onder has a big lead in his race. Jason Smith has been declared the winner there. So Republican voters have come out and shown a lot of confidence in the Republican state leadership in Missouri. But on the other side of that coin, did not show any confidence in a couple of these big conservative amendments. Very interesting how that plays out.
And that's exactly my point about Missouri voters want a sense of clarity, and they want to understand the why and the what they're being asked to commit to. And the why was talked about, but the what they were asked to commit to wasn't clear enough. I mean, people constantly said to me, I don't understand what comes after we remove the income tax, and I don't really want to wait around until Jeff City passes something and tells me what it is. I want a little bit more of the what before I vote for the why, before I vote for the first part. And they were tied together, so it was conjunctive. So people rejected the whole package. So, and then on the amendment process, people were very, very suspicious. You're right, Tony. For years we've been talking about people amending the Constitution with ease. If you have enough money, you can put your name in the Missouri Constitution. You can put bingo in the Constitution. And people,
which has been attempted, by the way. People putting just their name in the Constitution has been attempted in Missouri and gotten further than it should. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Missouri voters frowned on that.
Yeah.
So there's no sense of people are okay with that. Mm-hmm. But Missouri voters couldn't digest this complicated approach that, you're going to have to now vote in every 8 congressional districts. I had someone ask me the other day, how many congressional districts do we have? And this was a person who's very educated. So they were asking me that because they were like, what is all this? It was too much. We have to have a very clear question that we put before the voters with the what we're doing and why. And if people can understand the what we're doing and the why we're doing it, you've got a better shot. But for the opposition, it was very easy to muddy the waters on both those different points, and people just don't currently trust the overall government apparatus. They may trust their particular congressperson or their particular state rep or senator who they know, but that's about as far as their trust would extend on election night when you put these other complicated questions on the ballot that people just couldn't clearly understand the what and the why enough to say, yeah, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
So that's why you saw the duality, and I'm going to vote for the Republican folks that are in office that are generally advancing these ideas, but I'm not going to vote for these policy changes because the what and the why don't make any sense to me. I'm not clear about what they're ultimately trying to do.
Yeah, lack of understanding, I think, was a big part of this, and I'm making my list of who I am going to blame for all of it. I know that I'm angry at a lot of people about this, but there's also a lot of good, there's also a lot of positive things happening across the state of Missouri tonight, and we're going to continue to get you updated on all of these races. I know we've talked a lot here recently, Rodney. Tomorrow, Wednesday, is our normal day. I'll follow up with you. Hopefully we get a chance to talk to you again tomorrow and continue to unpack these results.
I'll be listening to that.
Yeah. Rodney.
Very good. Thank
Rodney
you both.
Boyd.
Thank you both.
Thank you so
Good
much.
night.
Great stuff there. Missouri Political
Boy, he's
Insider.
good, isn't he?
Rodney Boyd. He's the best.
He's really good.
When it comes to Missouri politics, there is nobody better than Rodney
All right,
Boyd.
stop showing off. Let's go. Move it along.
We are going to move along here. As I mentioned in that conversation with Rodney, we saw Ann Wagner being declared the victor. Congressman Bob Onder continues to hold a big lead in his race. St. Charles County executive race has not been updated too much here lately. Steve Ellman continues to have the lead there with 51% of the vote, 29% for Bill Eigel, 17% for Jason Law. Looking for an update on that race, hopefully coming in very soon. Amendments 4 and 5 have both gone down in flames. Wesley Bell has defeated Corey Bush. That is a look at some of the big races. We will update you on more of them as we continue the conversation. Plus, we'll be joined by Jamie Allman as we continue with election coverage here on News Talk STL.
Missouri decides 2026
on News Talk STL.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. I keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA, SIPC.
Elevate your brand's visibility with Fast Signs of Bridgeton, your local experts in visual solutions. From custom signs and banners to eye-catching graphics and displays, we bring your vision to life. Need indoor decor, outdoor signage, or vehicle wraps? Our team delivers quality and creativity on time, every time. Don't just make a statement, make an impression. Visit Fast Signs of Bridgeton, proud partner of the St. Louis Blues and preferred sign company of St. Louis University Athletics. Visit FastSigns.com.
Calling all Patriots. Join the St. Louis County Republicans for the annual Lincoln Reagan Day Dinner, Saturday, September 19th at River City Casino. Our keynote speaker, Newsmax personality, Rob Carson. Enjoy a full night of fun and information alongside state and local officials and candidates. It's an evening you won't want to miss. Dinner and program, just $75. For tickets, email reneeartman@hotmail.com or call 314-398-6667.
Got scrap metal, junk cars, or old appliances taking up space? Turn that clutter into cash. Since 1968, 21 Recycling and Scrap Metal has been the area's trusted name for recycling. We buy copper, brass, aluminum cans, scrap iron, wheels, catalytic converters, AC units, water heaters, washers, dryers, and yes, junk cars too. With our brand new truck scale on premises, getting paid is fast and easy. Old Highway 21 by Highway M or 21-recycling.com.
Summer's here, and so is the freshest produce in town. At Anthony's Produce, we specialize in locally grown fruits and vegetables, straight from the farm to your table. Homegrown tomatoes, sweet corn, juicy cantaloupe, watermelon, and peaches, just to name a few. Plus, thousands of locally made products you won't find anywhere else. Need a fruit or vegetable tray for your next gathering? We've got you covered. Anthony's Produce on Jungerman Road or at anthonysproduce.com. Open 7 days a week.
Colombo and Company.
The voters in Missouri have spoken, and now it's time to unpack the results and discuss the impact those decisions will have on our future. We'll get into it Wednesday with Missouri political insider Rodney Boyd.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on Newstalk STL. This is special coverage of
Missouri Decides 2026.
Brought to you by Fast Signs in Bridgeton, 21 Recycling in House Springs, Gemini Wealth Group, and Freddy's Market.
Really interesting night as we continue to watch the numbers come in and keep you up to speed on all of these important elections on election night across the state of Missouri. You're listening to election coverage here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Tony Colombo here in studio with Vic Porcelli and producer Cole. Great stuff for Ronnie Boyd in that last segment, helping to understand and unpack some of these results that we have seen today. Amendments 4 and 5, both just going down just overwhelmingly. We talk a lot about 80-20 issues.
Oh, boy.
Vic, this was an 80-20 issue, both of them, for Missourians, which is just highly disappointing for me. We've also seen, a lot of strength when it comes to some of the Republican incumbents across the state of Missouri, with Ann Wagner winning her primary race. Bob Onder continues to hold a big lead in his race. Down south, Jason Smith has won his primary challenge. Keeping an eye on the St. Charles County executive race, Steve Ullman continues to lead there. Travis Wilson continues to lead in District 106. We saw Scott Fitzpatrick, the auditor, win his race. That race has been called. We'll keep you up to speed on more and more of these races as we get the numbers in throughout the evening. Right now, joining us to help unpack all of this madness, Jamie Allman is on the line with us. Jamie, anything surprise? I mean, other than how badly 4 and 5 are getting beaten, anything really surprising to you or standing out at this point of the night?
Well, first of all, you guys are doing a great job, and so great to have Vic in the studio, man. Does he have meatballs or anything like that, ready to go, or what's he doing?
We have deli sandwiches. We have sandwiches all over from Capriati's.
Got my sandwich.
Yeah, I figured as much. Yeah.
Booyah, baby.
So I got to tell you, the margin of victory on the no votes of Proposition of Amendment 5, just totally shocking to me. I can't believe that 80-20 in a red state would oppose an income tax reduction.
Currently, it's 82.5 with 33% of the vote in on Amendment 5. 82.5 against eliminating the income tax. I would have never predicted that either.
I can only attribute that to, I think the voter turnout was low. I'm surprised. I think some people just don't have a vested interest in this, which is crazy because, 50% of the country doesn't pay income taxes, so they don't really care. So I'm not quite sure what the reason for the result, but I'll tell you what, it's low voter turnout. I can't tell you how many people I talked to today, even in my own sphere. I was like, did you vote today? It's like, oh, I forgot. Oh, I didn't know about that. This August primary is a disaster as it is. But, man, I can't believe that a red state would vote for – listen, Missourians are really great at voting in great candidates. We got Josh Hawley. We got Eric Schmidt, who are two rock star heroes. We got Trump winning this state by, 60, 70%. And to have people vote against an income tax reduction is just really surprising to me. And it's only because I think the people really who were opposed to it, really tried to kind of insinuate this thing that there were going to be other taxes involved, whatever, which actually was a lie. But, you can lie, but it's how it worked out.
Now, Jamie, what about with these two conservative amendments, these conservative-backed amendments going down by 80%, each of them, 4 and 5, how do you reconcile that with the success that the rest of the Republican Party, the incumbents, the people that are that are being given another vote of confidence by the people of Missouri, so they like these Republican candidates like Bob Onder and Ag Wagner and Jason Smith. On the local side, we've got Mike Elam leading, by a large margin in the St. Charles County Council race. We've got Steve Ellman continuing to lead, the incumbent there at St. Charles County Executive. Travis Wilson continues to lead, the incumbent there in the District 106 race. These Republicans that put forward these amendments are still getting a huge vote of confidence. It doesn't really jive that it would be such a big difference between the two, does it?
Well, it doesn't really. It means that Republicans basically, I think in one way that's a great thing with Missouri because people are independent. It's like the show me state. And so you're going to get people voting for these candidates, but also voting against these really, I think, what are conservative endeavors with this amendment. It's, Proposition 4 was like so conservative, but there were people saying, well, this isn't conservative. It's taking our freedoms away. And Missouri is like the worst state in the country as it relates to how it allows amendments to, I've heard you talk about this on your show, Tony, where you have our amendments are what are we reaching at? Like about 80 or whatever?
No, 129. 129. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it does reflect a diversity in the viewpoints of conservatives in Missouri who will more than gladly vote for a Republican. But the income tax reduction thing is really confusing to me, and I can only attribute to the low turnout.
Yeah.
I really honestly think that turnout was incredibly low. I think that there were people talking about how in St. Louis County there was a high turnout, this and that.
They were predicting a high turnout, but you're right. It's going to be really interesting to see what the truth there is.
It's going to be 20. It's going to be 20-something%, buddy.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way that it's higher than that. You're that's
right.
a shame, really.
Jamie Allman.
That really.
Yeah, great stuff. Really appreciate your time. We'll be tuned in tomorrow and every weekday at noon to 2, the 3 Martini Lunch with Jamie Allman.
See you tomorrow, baby.
On News Talk STL.
Right away.
Thanks, Jamie.
Right,
yeah,
guys.
we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Hey, one race to call very quickly.
Yeah, real quick.
Very tight race. Nick Schroer has been
100% of the vote in the uncontested race. Absolutely. That's Vic Porcelli. I'm Tony Colombo. We're going to reset, get you an update on all of the races as we head into the 9 o'clock hour, and we'll be joined by Tim Jones next.
Missouri decides 2026
on News Talk STL.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stegall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
In Missouri, your home works hard to keep up with the weather. Johnson Heating and Cooling works harder. We're a local family-owned company specializing in residential heating and cooling, service, repair, replacement, maintenance, even new construction. Our NATE-certified technicians and trained comfort specialists keep families comfortable across Wentzville, O'Fallon, St. Charles, and beyond. Call 636-332-4141 or johnson-heatingandcooling.com.
For over 50 years, Freddy's Market has been Webster Grove's family tradition on Big Bend, serving up what matters most: quality you can taste and prices you can trust. Stop in today for our ready-to-eat burgers and hot dogs, fresh daily sandwiches, made-from-scratch deli salads, and our famous store-smoked meats. Whether you're grabbing lunch or planning dinner, we've got you covered with that hometown flavor you've loved for decades. Freddy's Market. Visit us on Big Bend and Webster Groves or online at freddysmarket.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at
Peters in Washington. Missouri's Secretary of State waits until the last day allowed by law to announce his decision on a referendum over redrawn U.S. House districts.
Missouri's top election official, Republican Denny Hoskins, has rejected a citizen's petition seeking a November referendum on a new congressional district map approved by Republicans.
Challenging a congressional map is unconstitutional under Missouri law.
Hoskins says the hundreds of thousands of petition signatures don't matter. The new map being used in the current primaries stretches a Kansas City House district held by Democrat Emanuel Cleaver into rural central Missouri in hopes of flipping the seat. A group backing the referendum effort says Hoskins is trying to silence the people's voice and they will contest the decision in court. I'm Jennifer King.
Representative Wesley Bell has won the Democratic primary in Missouri's 1st congressional district against former Congresswoman Cori Bush. The rematch Tuesday offered a test of America's evolving viewpoints on Israel. Bell was backed by a group affiliated with the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. The pro-Israeli group also financed his ouster of Bush in the 2024 primary after Bush criticized Israel's response to Hamas's initial attack. Michigan is offering the country its clearest gauge yet on the direction of the Democratic Party as primary voters in the battleground state choose between a left-wing standard-bearer and an establishment candidate. Although there have been similar contests around the country, this one is holding extra weight because Michigan is a key state in presidential races. Abdul El Said, backed by Senator Bernie Sanders, is up against four-term Representative Haley Stevens, supported by Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer. Results so far show El Said in the lead over Stevens with a little over 20% of the vote counted. More at townhall.com.
You've probably heard all those ads for life insurance. Just a few dollars a day, apply online in minutes, no medical exam. Simple, easy, and cheap, right? Now you're thinking, maybe I should get a quote. Well, smart thinking. Everyone should have life insurance. But here's what they don't tell you. Those few dollars a day rates, they're for young people in perfect health. That's why everyone calls Big Lou the 50 to 60-year-old not-so-perfect candidate. Like you. You take prescription meds and you're overweight. Winner, fried chicken dinner. Well, Big Lou works with life insurance companies that want people like you with no surprises after you apply. In fact, if you're a 50-year-old guy with a few health glitches, Lou could probably find you $1 million of term life coverage for about $200 a month. So, yeah, you need life insurance. But unless you're young and healthy, you gotta call Big Lou because he's like you, older, heavier, and on meds, too. Get a quote right now at 800-555-2085. 800-555-2085 or biglou.com.
Lebanese and Israeli negotiators are talking.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Another near-normal hot day on the way Wednesday with some storms, too. A low of 71 and a high of 90 on Wednesday. Mostly sunny, turning partly cloudy. The chance for storms comes in the evening, especially late evening for St. Louis. A low chance for some strong winds with any storms late evening Wednesday. Then overnight into Thursday, more scattered storms are likely. Some could produce some isolated pockets of flooding into Thursday morning. A low of 70 Thursday morning. Then in the afternoon, mostly cloudy. Slim chance for a few showers Thursday afternoon. The better chance will come Thursday night, and a high of 85 as it cools down but stays muggy for Thursday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Window World of St. Louis. For replacement windows, doors, and siding, call 800-GET-WINDOWS. That's 800-GET-WINDOWS.
For over 50 years, Freddy's Market has been Webster Grove's family tradition on Big Bend, serving up what matters most, quality you can taste and prices you can trust. Stop in today for our ready-to-eat burgers and hot dogs, fresh daily sandwiches, made-from-scratch deli salads, and our famous store-smoked meats. Whether you're grabbing lunch or planning dinner, we've got you covered with that hometown flavor you've loved for decades. Freddy's Market. Visit us on Big Bend and Webster Groves or online at freddysmarket.com.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA, SIPC.
When you count on Connor, you're getting the timeless American values that have guided our company from day one. Hard work, impeccable service, and honesty. At Connor Roofing, you aren't just getting a roof, you're getting safeguarded by a neighbor who cares. When you count on Connor, you're receiving protection for your home, your family, and your peace of mind.
Visit ConnorRoofing.com.
Hey everyone, this is Jesse from Reach Reproductive Health, and I need you to mark your calendar because on October 22nd, it's going to be a big night in St. Louis. It's going to be our second annual Reach Gala, and it's happening at the factory. Incredible live music, powerful speakers, a night to celebrate life, and to support the Reach mission. Stay tuned to find out who's taking the stage. I promise you won't want to miss it. Registration is open right now at outreachforlife.org/gala.
This is special coverage of
Missouri Decides 2026.
Brought to you by Fast Signs in Bridgeton, 21 Recycling in House Springs, Gemini Wealth Group, and Freddy's Market.
All right, heading into the 9 o'clock hour now on this busy election night across the state of Missouri. We are getting more numbers in, and we'll get you updated on many of these important races here in just a moment. I will say, Jamie Allman, who we were just talking with, a lot of the conversation, Vic, by the way, I'm Tony Colombo, Vic Porcelli alongside in studio here at News Talk STL. Tim Jones live from the West Coast going to be on with us in just a moment. Before that, though, we just talked to Jamie Allman. A lot of the conversations and a lot of the experiences that I've been hearing from people has been about a strong voter turnout today for a primary midterm election, at least for that number. All of those numbers, all those reports that I got early in the day. And I voted this morning, and had a pretty busy precinct. I'm starting to think that, and then Jamie, we just talked to, so I kind of had this idea that there was going to be an above average voter turnout. But now I'm starting, but Jamie just said that he doesn't think it's going to be that. Yeah. And I'm starting to maybe shift the narrative to there was a lot of motivated voters that came out this morning and early and voted. But as we watch the totals, for example, St. Charles County right now, with almost 60% of the total vote in, is 21.5%.
How about that?
That's not the 30% that a lot of people were predicting going into today. So
Jamie, he's so intuitive when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When we were here in this room on the presidential election in 2024, he called how many electoral votes Donald Trump would get, and he missed by one. Yeah. He said 313. It was 312. I was like, how does he know that so definitively?
So
Smart guy.
As we start this 9 o'clock hour, some of the races that have been called, Ann Wagner has won her race. Scott Fitzpatrick in the state auditor Republican primary has won by a large margin. Both amendments 4 and 5 have officially lost by nearly 80%, more than 80% when it comes to Amendment 5. Bob Onder in District 3, the congressman, race is not called yet, but has a 66% of the vote lead in that primary in District 3, with nearly 60% of the vote counted there. So the congressman well on his way to a victory there. We are still watching the St. Charles County executive primary. The incumbent there, Ellman, continues to lead with just over 50% of the vote. At last check, Bill Eigel was at about 30%, Jason Law at 17%, 57% of the vote counted there. So a lot of these, some of these races still outstanding, and we're waiting for more numbers to come in. But a lot of answers already, as we're just a couple hours post poll closing here in the state of Missouri. Let's get Tim Jones on the line and get his thoughts and reaction. Calling in from the West Coast, where I'm sure the weather is beautiful. But here we got to talk about what's going on in the state of Missouri. Tim, thank you so much for taking a few minutes out of your time, because I can't think of anybody better to help us unpack these election results than the former Speaker of the House. Tim, how are you? Thank you for your time.
Good evening, gentlemen. Greetings. I should say stay classy, San Diego. That's where I am right now tonight. And California, especially Southern California, is a beautiful place to visit. But of course, you don't want to live here if you're a conservative. But this is the part of California that still does have some conservative in its bones, because there is a huge naval base here, of course. Top Gun made this area famous, right? It's where the famous flight school is. There's a huge Navy presence here. A lot of military families live here in this region. So it's a beautiful part of the world. The sun is still shining here. And you know what, guys? The sun will rise in Missouri as well. I've been through too many of these rodeos to get excited or depressed one way or another just because of one election. There's going to be a lot of great things I'm going to be happy about tonight. I will be sad about the failure of Amendments 4 and 5. Huge missed opportunity. I think a lot of Missourians are going to regret, because now I ask you, all right, for all of you, especially on the conservative side, who voted against this, or if you claim to be on the conservative side, what's your plan? I haven't heard a lot. I haven't heard a lot of alternatives from the anti-everything crowd. But again, the sun will rise tomorrow in Missouri. We will carry on. The public policy battles will continue. So I'm watching just as much as I'm watching the final numbers on 4 and 5 to see how good or bad it's going to be.
They're both losing by over 80%. Over 80%.
I'm also very concerned about who the next policymakers of tomorrow are going to be. There's a lot of huge House and Senate primaries that are going to be decided tonight as well. The future growth of the Missouri Freedom Caucus will be dependent upon a lot of those races as well. So, like I said, I don't get exacerbated one way or the other. Not overly excited, not overly depressed. Tomorrow we'll pick up the pieces of everything and we'll move forward. But Missouri's got a real problem with these initiative petitions. Tony, you've done a great job analyzing the situation, as well as all of our other shows. We've talked about it on Jones and Arps ad nauseum. And Missouri is really going to have to fix this problem, or we will go the way of California and Colorado, both of whom have nearly identical IP systems as what we have in the Show Me State.
Wow. Hi, Jim. How are you? It's Vic.
Hey, Vic.
So sometime we were talking to Rodney Boyd, and boy, was it great to talk to him, about messaging. I think the messaging was terrible on 4 and 5 on the commercials that we saw and what people were saying. And I just, sometimes I know I'm a little crude in between 9 and noon, but, you go walk into a Walmart and the lady's got a clipboard there and she says, hey, do you want to sign a petition for women's health? And you don't even realize you're signing the petition for abortion. I mean, I don't know where we start to turn this around. And I mean, I don't know.
How to get the message out. How to get that understanding to the voters, because clearly we failed with that.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm not sure how much more simple it could get, fellas. People are either not paying attention, or I think what really happened here is what typically happens in these issue campaigns. Democrats are great at circling the wagons. Republicans are great at the circular firing squad. Okay?
Yeah.
If Amendment 4 and 5 go down, which appears they very much are, it is because Democrats and the left and the media, which is leftist except for us, were all united against it, right? They walked in lockstep. They're like the giant Borg Republicans, there were some disaffected Republicans. Well, they claim they're Republicans. Why you wouldn't want to eliminate the income tax, why you wouldn't want to protect Missouri's Constitution from this continued leftist assault that we've had for the last 15, 20 years is beyond me. But some people were swayed by ads. Now, look, Amendment 4, there was not much of a campaign there. I don't know where the campaign was supposed to be. We all talked about it. We all promoted it, but there wasn't a well-funded campaign in favor of 4. On 5, there was. And I admit, 5 was an aggressive plan. It really was. Perhaps people weren't ready for that much of an overhaul of our tax system. Perhaps if it had just been only an income tax elimination plan, something that I proposed, by the way, for the last, well, guys, I passed it when I was Speaker of the House 12 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And you know what happened after we passed that original income tax cut? Every Republican got reelected again and again and again. And then we cut the income tax. We cut it from 6 to 4.7%. You know what happened to the budget? The budget grew again and again and again. So income tax elimination works. Look at Tennessee. Look at Florida. Look at Texas. Look at Kentucky. Look at Kansas. Yes, Kansas went back to the drawing board and they cut their income tax as well. Income tax elimination works. Now, Amendment 5 included other items and other things. It talked about overhauling the sales tax system and fixing that broken, antiquated mess. Maybe people weren't ready for that. What probably happened with Amendment 5, it was excellent public policy. It was a tough political sell, obviously.
Here's a funny little thing. Amendment 5, a massive tax cut, goes down in flames, while Amendment 1, which we haven't talked about at all, which is a continuation of taxes for Parks and Rec, which I think is a good thing, but that wins with 82.1% of the vote and was wrapped up, right after the polls closed. So Missouri voters overwhelmingly okay with those taxes, but don't want to eliminate the income tax. Just one of the weird sort of messages coming out of today. Well, Tim, I want to ask you this before we run out of time. Yeah. You talked about the Missouri Freedom Caucus and the continued Republican leadership in the state of Missouri. Outside of the disappointments with Amendments 4 and 5, a lot of the incumbent established Republican leaders are having a great night. The ones that were challenged, like Bob Onder, who is a regular on your show, the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show each and every week, checking in with our listeners on your show. He is, that race hasn't been called yet. I imagine it will be at some point soon. He's got nearly 67% of the vote in District 3 with 60% of the vote in. We talked about Ann Wagner, holding on to her seat. Jason Smith holding on to his seat. State reps like Travis Wilson, who has 70% of the vote in District 106, and Mike Elam on the St. Charles County Council, and even I guess you could even put a guy like Steve Ellman in that boat. He continues to lead in county executive. All of these conservatives that have been in place continue to get the endorsement of the voters, at least on tonight. What does that tell you about the strength, the foundation, and the ability for this Republican Party to produce for Missourians moving forward?
Well, look, it shows that people like true conservative warriors like Bob Onder and Eric Burleson, who both supported Amendments 4 and 5, right, guys? So, I mean, it's not that people they just didn't like the particulars of those plans, but they liked the people that supported them. Now, how schizophrenic is that, right? Bob Onder and Eric Burleson, two congressmen in Missouri, two of the most conservative congressmen in Missouri, were full-throatedly in favor of Amendments 4 and 5, and they're going to easily win.
Yeah, they win big, but those issues lose big. It is a weird dichotomy.
It is.
And you know who else is winning? You know who else is winning in most of these primaries? I just looked quickly. Most of the legislators on the state level that supported Amendments 4 and 5, that voted for it. I'm going to give you an example. Rick Bratton, one of the founders of the Missouri Freedom Caucus. He's running for that new congressional seat in western Missouri. He looks like he's going to walk away and walk into Congress. and join Onder and Burleson and Jason Smith. I'm going to note 4 of my best friends.
Jason Smith
from my
already winning his race
days.
tonight, too. I'm glad you mentioned that. He's already been predicted to win. Yep.
4 of my best friends from my legislative years, who I still am very, very close with, are all going to be in Congress. I'm going to have a red carpet laid out for me up in Washington, D.C.
I love
But
it.
Rick Bratton, full-throatedly supported, voted for, endorsed Amendments 4 and 5. He was in a vicious 4 or 5-way primary for a new congressional seat. It looks like he's going to win.
Yeah.
So if you can figure out the Missouri voter that voted in these elections this year, then you know what? Whoever tells us the secret sauce to that, we need to ask him for the Powerball numbers next.
Yeah, amen. Great stuff, Tim. Thank you so much for checking in with us while you're out there in California on this really important election night. Have a great rest of your trip. And, of course, every weekday, 4 to 6 p.m., the Tim Jones and Chris Harp Show right here on News Talk STL. Tim, thanks so much. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Jets.
Yeah.
Wish my MAGA Speaker of the House.
Great stuff there. All right, we are going to continue the conversation during our live election coverage here on News Talk STL with the former mayor of Ferguson, Missouri, current city manager of Troy, Missouri, somebody that knows a whole lot about city and county politics. Mayor James Knowles is going to join us in a few minutes. Want to continue, obviously, to keep you up to speed on all of these Republican races, Republican primaries across the counties and in St. Charles County, including the St. Charles County executive race. But I want to touch on the St. Louis County executive Democratic primary with Mayor Knowles. Also, talk a little bit more about this Wesley Bell massive victory in House District number 1, despite all the talk about Cori Bush's big comeback. That has gone down in flames tonight as well. Still a whole lot to unpack, and we'll get you a fresh set of numbers as we continue the conversation with the former mayor of Ferguson, Missouri. Mayor James Knowles joins us next.
Missouri decides 2026
on News Talk STL.
Elevate your brand's visibility with Fast Signs of Bridgeton, your local experts in visual solutions. From custom signs and banners to eye-catching graphics and displays, we bring your vision to life. Need indoor decor, outdoor signage, or vehicle wraps? Our team delivers quality and creativity on time, every time. Don't just make a statement, make an impression. Visit Fast Signs of Bridgeton, proud partner of the St. Louis Blues and preferred sign company of St. Louis University Athletics. Visit fastsigns.com.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli. We're sitting here with our great friend, Chris Cooper. Hi, Chris.
What's going on, Vic? How are you?
I hear you wrote another book. This one's an e-book. Is that right?
The Business Owner's Playbook for Financial Clarity. So it is a great book for entrepreneurs. It's a very short guide. Give people, business owners, the ability to understand key questions that are important, such as succession planning, legacy planning, getting the IRS out of our pockets, right? Because do you like paying taxes?
I do not.
I don't think anybody likes paying taxes, right? That just makes sense. And then always talking about protection. And then the other thing from a business owner perspective, what is the biggest asset a business owner has? Probably their business itself, right? We need to make sure we understand what the value of that business is as well.
So this new book, I'm sure, is incredibly expensive, right? How much?
No, it's a free resource.
Oh, it's free.
We provide guidance, we provide education because we want to make sure people feel educated and understanding because sometimes you don't know what questions to ask, and we need to make sure we help arm people with information to ask the right question.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
It's time to tee off at Sugar Creek Golf Course in High Ridge. Experience one of Jefferson County's premier courses, nestled among picturesque rolling hills. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, you'll love the lush fairways, challenging holes, and friendly atmosphere. Make your next round unforgettable at Sugar Creek Golf Course. Open to the public, but you can also become a member. Just log on to sugarcreekgolfcourse.com for more information and tee times. sugarcreekgolfcourse.com.
Hunters, now is the time to get ready. Mike Ferguson here for my friends at Whistle Pig Outdoors. Listen, don't wait until the season opener to dial that bow in. Whistle Pig offers paper tuning, bow adjustments, string replacement, and custom arrows. Plus, Hoyt and Bear archery bows, crossbows from 10 Point and Raven, and accessories from all of the top brands. Archery season opens in September, but now is the time to practice and get ready. Whistle Pig Outdoors in Troy, Missouri. Visit whistlepigoutdoors.com.
Got scrap metal, junk cars, or old appliances taking up space? Turn that clutter into cash. Since 1968, 21 Recycling and Scrap Metal has been the area's trusted name for recycling. We buy copper, brass, aluminum cans, scrap iron, wheels, catalytic converters, AC units, water heaters, washers, dryers, and yes, junk cars too. With our brand new truck scale on premises, getting paid is fast and easy. Old Highway 21 by Highway M or 21-recycling.com.
This is special coverage of
Missouri Decides 2026.
Brought to you by Fast Signs in Bridgeton, 21 Recycling in House Springs, Gemini Wealth Group, and Freddy's Market.
Got a really good idea of how this election day is shaping up here across the state of Missouri as we have a little more than a half an hour left here in our live election coverage on News Talk STL. I'm Tony Colombo in studio with Vic Porcelli, and producer Cole is here as well. A quick go around here on some of the races that we've been keeping a close eye on. Amendments 4 and 5, both losing spectacularly today with Missouri voters. Amendment 4 has the battle is it going to be an 80-20 issue for Amendment 4? Right now they got it back down to 79.9.
That's
so
who would have thought?
79.9 rejecting Amendment 4 of the voters with 65% of the vote in. Amendment 5 doing even worse, losing by 82.8%. We also have a big, as Tim and I pointed out in that last segment, we just talked to Tim Jones about, even though those amendments went down terribly, many of the conservative leaders in Congress and across the state of Missouri that endorsed those amendments have won big today. And a lot of the Republican leadership has won in the ones that were challenged in the primaries. Like Ann Wagner and Jason Smith and Bob Onder. We're seeing that shape up in some of the state races, like the one with Travis Wilson. That's the second time I did that.
It's okay.
Travis Wilson in St. Charles. St. Charles County Executive, we continue to see Steve Ellman lead that race with nearly 60% of the vote in. The current county executive has nearly 51% of the vote, with Bill Eigel at 29 but essentially 30%. Jason Law at 17.5. So a lot of these established Republicans continue to get the endorsement of the people. Mike Elam, St. Charles County Council District 3, he's way ahead. I don't know why this race hasn't been called yet. He's got nearly 70% of the vote with 90% of the vote in. Terry Hollander in District 3, leading over Judy Gambino, 71% to 28.7%. So really interesting stuff shaping up there. I did want to touch on, and we have the perfect guest on to do that with, some of the St. Louis County. We've talked a lot about St. Charles County and some of the other areas around the state of Missouri. But St. Louis County and St. Louis City, the overwhelming victory by Wesley Bell over Corey Bush tonight is very interesting. And there is their own county executive race happening in St. Louis. In that St. Louis County executive race, Jake Zimmerman, the Democrat side, the Democratic primary there, Jake Zimmerman is leading with 70% of the vote in. He's got 48% of the vote. Brian Williams, 32%. Angela Mosley at 19%. We have the former mayor of Ferguson, Missouri, current city manager of Troy, Mayor James Knowles, on the line with us now. Somebody who knows a little something about St. Louis County politics. Mayor, thanks as always for your time, my friend. What do you make so far of what we've seen tonight overall from the voters in Missouri?
Well, I think when you look at those races you talked about, the big thing that you and I have always talked about this is, politics it's always local. And I mean, I think sometimes some of these big statewide issues, we're trying to determine whether or not that has an effect on some of these state rep and state senate races. Some of the ones that you mentioned, the incumbents are holding on to their seats. But, the look down at Southwest Missouri, I know we probably don't always think about that when we're up in St. Louis. But, there's Senator Curtis Trent who's in line for leadership in the Senate, looks like he's going to get taken out by Lori Rook, which is one of the insurgent Republicans. There's about 5 insurgent Republican Senate seats that right now they look like they're winning. And this is kind of like the rebirth of members of the Freedom Caucus that are, pushing their way back into the Senate. They kind of all but died out there. Curtis Trent's supposed to be the new majority floor leader. If he loses this race, it might be our friend Nick Schroer who ends up being the majority floor leader.
That'd be okay.
He won today with 100% of the vote in his uncontested effort. Did we lose you, Mayor? Or do you just not like my joke?
Tony's jokes do suck.
Did we lose James? Did we lose James?
I guess we did.
Oh, no.
Because you know what I want to ask him when he comes back?
Yeah, let's get James back on the line. See if you can reconnect with Mayor Knowles. Oh, we got him? There we go. Mayor, you there?
Yeah.
All right. Sorry about that.
Sorry. That's okay. But there's some things shaping up in some of these other races I think are going to be interesting. And, there is a core group of people that are kind of pushing back against the establishment. But by and large, like you said, Steve Ellman, Travis Fitzwalter, a lot of those people, they found themselves, up against it with opponents this year. And that's been largely unsuccessful in places like St. Charles County and some of the places across the state. So same thing, Mike Deering out in our neck of the woods. He's a Kehoe picked he's a Kehoe picked Republican who is representing that Senate district from Lincoln County, St. Charles County, out Montgomery County, all the way out west. And, he held on from kind of the insurgent candidate there, Trish Burns. So it's a mixed bag, I think, really, if you look across the state. We'll see in the morning. There's some of these rural counties are slow turning in, so we'll see how some of these other races turn out and what the Senate leadership actually does look like. It might change this year from what was expected.
If Jake Zimmerman holds on in the St. Louis County executive race, he is winning right now with 70% of the vote, 48. It's been, Steve Stanger and Sam Page has been like all we've known for so long. Could be a big difference. I don't think, nearly as many people know what Jake Zimmerman is all about. Also, as much as I don't like a lot of Wesley Bell's politics, I'll take Wesley Bell over Cori Bush every day of the week. See him double up Cori Bush in that race in District 1. Obviously, Democratic leadership continues in the city and the county, but it's a little bit different. It's some new names outside of the Sam Pages that we've gotten so used to over the last several years. Is there any hope in your mind that this could be a step in the right direction for people who have been so upset about the super progressive path that the city and county have been on?
I don't know that I have a lot of hope. Ultimately the party is the Democratic Party continues to, drift to the left, further and further. There's clearly the far left wing, which I think we've seen at least mostly be rejected. That's what we've seen with Cori Bush here. Jake, I don't see as a far lefty, but Sam Page didn't seem that way either when he got elected, and that's what worries me. The thing about Jake Zimmerman that a lot of people don't remember, because this has to go back a number of years, he stepped back and didn't run for a Senate seat. He ran for the successor position back when it became an elected position many moons ago, because he was promised to be the guy that was going to get to step up when Charlie Dooley stepped down. And that got thrown and tossed aside as soon as Steve Stanger insurgently came in and took Charlie out early. So he's been sitting there waiting in this dead end, what he thought, I think, was a dead end job for 12 years or so. And he's been patiently waiting for that. That's what he's been wanting to do. That's what he's tried in the past unsuccessfully in several of these three-way races. I think the three-way race helped him in this, obviously. If you look at the numbers, Brian Williams had a huge core group of support among many up here in North County. But when Angela Mosley got in that race, we knew that there was definitely going to be a lot of vote splitting, especially among North County Democrats, especially among the African American Democrats. It may not have mattered in the end. I mean, you can't say it's going to be a 1-for-1 if she's out of that race going to Brian Williams, but certainly that didn't hurt didn't hurt Jake Zimmerman to have that three-way race this time. He's lost several of the other three-way races he's ran before. So we'll see. Hopefully the county council will hold him accountable if he ends up being the candidate. We still got, Dennis Hancock, our Republican candidate. He's got a long uphill battle, but he's also a fighter, and he's been in the mix for a long time. If people don't want, a liberal Democrat, which Jake is, even if he's not a super progressive, you still got a chance in November to make your voice heard. James
Knowles, it's Vic Porcelli. How you doing? Can I still call you Mr. Mayor? Does that still apply? Calling you Mr. Mayor? Okay. It's great to talk to you. But the 4 and 5, I just want to get back to that for 1 second. Do you think the difference was urban voting? Like, do you think St. Louis and Kansas City went a certain way, like voting no, rather than the rural areas that you talked about?
It will be interesting to see that breakdown when we have that information.
What do you think?
Well, I don't think so. I think you're going to find out it's, and I say that just because I've been watching Lincoln County all night. Now, Lincoln County is, an exurb, we like to call ourselves. I mean, half of us are somewhat suburban, the rest of us are rural, but it went down 80-20 out here in Lincoln County.
Wow.
And the rural guys out here were just as fervently against it as anybody here in the city of Troy. So
crazy.
I don't believe that, I believe the uncertainty about what that meant. I don't think nobody, especially no conservative, I think very few taxpayers are against the idea of not paying income tax, but they certainly didn't know what that ultimately was going to lead to. It was either going to lead to another tax, which was yet undefined, or it was going to lead to a huge decrease in revenues, which, some people were scared of. What does that mean? What does that mean service-wise? So I think without better definition, you aren't going to get this over the finish line. I think the 80-20 turnout, against this, I think should give a lot of Republicans pause about, how they approach some of these issues in the future.
Mayor James Knowles, really appreciate your time on this busy election night as we are closing in on the end of our coverage. We got about a half an hour left here, but it's really time to start, finalizing a lot of these races, and we're getting a lot of these sort of final totals in. So I want to get everybody up to speed on where we stand on these races, as well as a conversation. Last hour, I was a little nervous to talk to Travis Wilson because, like we said, pitcher's pitching a no-hitter. You don't know if you want to.
Yeah.
I think we're safe in talking to the representative at this point. At last check, Travis Wilson was up with 70% of the vote going his way, with 94% of the vote in. So I'm much more comfortable talking to Representative Wilson. He's going to join us in just a few moments. James, thanks as always for your time, my friend. We look forward to talking to you and unpacking these results more in the coming days, and of course this Friday on Colombo and Company. And thanks for your time this evening. We'll talk to you again soon.
Always great to see you guys.
Yeah,
thanks.
Great stuff there. So, yeah, as I said, we're getting a really good idea of the finality and, the results of many of these races as we get closer and closer to the 10 o'clock hour here on election night. So we're going to get you a full update on the numbers, and we are going to be joined by Missouri State Representative Travis Wilson, who's having a great night in his race. He will join us next here on News Talk STL.
Missouri decides 2026
on News Talk STL. Colombo and Company.
The voters in Missouri have spoken, and now it's time to unpack the results and discuss the impact those decisions will have on our future. We'll get into it Wednesday with Missouri political insider Rodney Boyd.
Live and local, weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
For over 50 years, Freddy's Market has been Webster Grove's family tradition on Big Bend. Serving up what matters most, quality you can taste and prices you can trust. Stop in today for our ready-to-eat burgers and hot dogs, fresh daily sandwiches, made-from-scratch deli salads, and our famous store-smoked meats. Whether you're grabbing lunch or planning dinner, we've got you covered with that hometown flavor you've loved for decades. Freddy's Market. Visit us on Big Bend and Webster Groves or online at freddysmarket.com.
Hey, Columbo here, ready to take your next shot? Then head to Bluff City Outdoors, your destination for the best archery gear, from traditional equipment to compound bows to high-performance crossbows, all from the biggest names in archery like Hoyt, Matthews, 10 Point, and more. Whether you hunt, shoot target, compete in 3D, or just shoot for fun, make your next shot at Bluff City Outdoors. 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alden. Don't forget Bluff City has all your fishing and trapping needs covered as well. Follow them on Facebook and at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Hey, it's Vic. If you have a tree that you think is dead, you can get Roots Plus to remove it for you. Or if you think the tree is savable, or if Roots Plus thinks it's savable, they can save your tree and you keep your cash. Call them and find out what that's all about at 314-440-3662. The crews are great. They get things done. They removed the tree for me, and they did expert work, and I definitely will put my name on their company. So save the tree with Roots Plus LLC. RootsPlusLLC.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Wherever I'm at, home, car, wherever.
Download the all-new NewsTalk STL app.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Just the convenience on the phone. Streaming live on the mobile app.
Love the new app.
And listen anytime.
Everywhere.
Anywhere.
This is special coverage of
Missouri Decides 2026.
Brought to you by Fast Signs in Bridgeton, 21 Recycling in House Springs, Gemini Wealth Group, and Freddy's Market.
Welcome back into the studio here. Election coverage on News Talk STL. Tony Colombo with Vic Porcelli and producer Cole. A couple of final results. As I mentioned, we're getting to the finality of many of these races. Some of the final numbers, or at least final results from Jefferson County. State Representative District 97, David Robertson winning the Republican primary there over David Castile.
How about that?
Currently 56% of the vote for Robertson. State Representative in District 114, Ann Maloney over David Broach. And in the Jefferson County executive primary, Tim Whitney over John Stockton. We've talked a lot about the county executive race in St. Charles and in St. Louis County, but a pretty definitive victory there in Jeffco for Tim Whitney. Couple other updates here. Bob Onder well on his way with 67% of the vote. Lead there with 79% counted. Bob Onder's got 67% of the vote. We've got wins by Ann Wagner and Jason Smith also in the Congress. And as we look at some of the state rep races, on the line with us now is the state representative for District 106, Travis Wilson, who I think
that is no hitter.
Safe to say now, congratulations, Mr. Representative. 70% of the voters have voted for Travis Wilson tonight, with 94% of the vote counted. Congratulations on a big night. Travis, how are you feeling?
You know, I'm feeling really great, Tony, and while I'm on the air with you, I've got a room full of wonderful people, and I just want to tell you that I've got the best in all of Missouri. Trav's team came through. I want to say thanks to everybody. Thank you, guys.
We were afraid to call you because we thought like you were pitching the no-hitter.
Yeah, you know, an hour ago it was you were winning, but it was still early, and it's like I don't know the rules there. I don't know what the superstitions are. Can you talk to somebody that's still kind of in the middle of a race? But your lead only grew as the night continued. And you can say that about a lot of your colleagues in the Congress, both at the state level and at the federal level. There's been a couple of upsets where the incumbent has lost. The David Castile race that we just mentioned in Jeff County being one of those. But a lot of the Republican, incumbents that were primaried this year held those offices, at least, heading into the general in November, and in many cases, like yourself, by big numbers. What does that tell you about Missouri's support for this Republican Party after a night like this?
Well, Tony, I think it's pretty obvious that the people of Missouri definitely trust the leaders that they have sent to Jeff City. They sent us there to do a job, and we're going to continue to work hard for the people of Missouri to make sure that our communities are well represented. I think that the people who have been in Jeff City that are a part of our Republican caucus have held true to the promise to cut taxes and to help us grow business and to help us do what it needs to happen in order to have more opportunities for our children and grandchildren. And we're going to continue to do exactly that.
What do you think of the disaster for Amendments 4 and 5 today? Both amendments that were endorsed and created by the Republican majority in the state of Missouri, and it's presented an interesting dichotomy where we saw so much of the incumbent leadership across the state of Missouri at both the state and federal level get a ringing endorsement from the voters tonight. Two of the Republicans' biggest pieces of legislation, these amendments, went down in flames. How do you sort of, how do you mesh those two thoughts together and make it all make sense?
Well, obviously, we would have liked to have seen better results with both Amendment 4 and Amendment 5. But at the end of the day, I think what happens is we have to, it's incumbent upon the incumbents to do what it takes to communicate well with our constituents and make sure that we are getting the word out. I think that we did a decent job, but we obviously could have done a better job of trying to tell the story about why 4 and 5 were important to our state, important to our state's future. And, clearly we have more work to do as we continue to move forward. We have to win the hearts and minds of the people of Missouri to the important things that exist, like 4 and 5. Clearly, we're going to be taking that sort of thing up again because we want to continue to push forward and make Missouri a better state.
You know what? Hi, it's Vic. I heard you say, I think I heard you say what we've been saying all night, that it was the messaging on Amendment 4 and Amendment 5, right? You got to tell people exactly what it is, not tell them, hey, let's keep the politicians on a short leash. So, with that being said, can Dennis Hancock get the messaging right and beat Jake Zimmerman and be the next St. Louis County executive, possibly?
Well,
a Republican winning that race in St. Louis County, that would be quite the big sea change, would it not, Travis?
It would. And you think back to the last time there was a Republican in that seat, it's been decades. And, I love the St. Louis region. I love St. Louis. I love St. Louis County. I work in both the city and the county often for various reasons. And I'm always, sort of perplexed as to why we can't seem to move forward. Civic leadership is really the key. And it's not just, although I am a Republican and I want Republicans to be in leadership positions, it's about how can we come together as a region, because if we do not have different leadership moving forward, I think we're sort of doomed to withstand the same results. It's like it's been said before, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And that's exactly the type of sort of repetitive loop that we're experiencing right now. If we can have different leadership that at least is able to come to the table with some fresh ideas and a new approach, I think that really is what the city might need at this time, what the county might need. And I want to do whatever I can to help grow our region. And so I'm willing to talk to anybody, work with anybody to continue to make our region better, to make our state better. That's what I think, at the end of the day, that's what I think our constituents want from us. I believe we have a mandate to work to make this a better state and improve our overall situation.
Missouri State Representative Travis Wilson, thanks for your time this evening. Congratulations on a big win in the primary this evening, and I look forward to talking to you about what comes next for your focus and for Republicans across the state of Missouri as we head towards the November general elections and then head into another legislative session in January. So great stuff. Thanks for your time and look forward to talking to you again soon. Congratulations, Travis.
Thank you, Tony. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it. And let's go on to November and win there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. We are going to wrap up our coverage and get you an update on everything that we know at this point. And it's a lot across the state of Missouri with the representative races, county executive races, these amendments, the congressional primaries. We've seen a lot happen tonight, in a lot of a very strong, sentiment sent by Missouri voters. We're gonna wrap up and get you, the full picture as we end this election coverage, and then get ready to immediately dive in to the general election in November and all of the issues that voters will once again be faced with in this all-important election year. You're listening to special election coverage. I'm Tony Colombo alongside Vic Porcelli on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Missouri decides 2026
on News Talk STL.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Well, we'll see how the results from the election felt to Crazy Joe Brazel. We'll talk to him Wednesday at 10:41.
Weekday mornings at 9
on News Talk STL.
Hungry at midnight? Craving a home-cooked breakfast at noon? At Gingham's Homestyle Restaurant, we've got ya 24 hours a day. For 35 years, folks have been coming back for our famous fried chicken, bone-in catfish, country fried steak, slow-cooked pot roast, scratch-made pancakes, or a slice of homemade pie. Daily specials and a loyalty rewards program that actually pays off. There's always a reason to come back to Gingham's Restaurant in St. Charles. Skip the wait. Join our wait list on Yelp or at ginghamsrestaurant.com.
Looking for a hardware store that treats you like family? Welcome to True Value Schneider's Hardware, your local gem in Old Town St. Peters. For over 100 years, we're proudly serve you St. Charles County, providing everything from lawn and garden supplies to plumbing and electrical. Need a bolt or fastener? We've got you covered. And don't forget, we're a steel dealership. Whether you need sales, parts, or service, ask for Charlie or Jerry when you come in. We're here to help. Call 636-278-4461 or visit us online at truevalue.com/Schneiders.
License number GL250000615.
Hey, Dad, what causes drains to clog?
Grease, hair, soap scum, and tree roots.
Tree roots?
This town has old pipes and big trees. They find each other.
They grow inside pipes?
They bust into pipes.
Whoa.
Once they're in, the water stops flowing.
Can we fix it?
The big green grasser machine can fix any clog.
Green is always grasser at grasserhomeservices.com.
Dr. Michael Lewis, West Point grad, physician, and retired Army colonel, is considered the world's leading expert on the use of omega-3s in brain health. He's also the author of When Brains Collide. Dr. Lewis, a lot of people take fish oil supplements, but how do you know they're working if you're not testing?
Elizabeth, I've come across the biggest breakthrough in my 30-plus years of medicine. What if you could test yourself at home to see if your fish oil supplements are actually working? And then have the right product, a combination of fish oil and olive oil, a perfect Mediterranean diet in a bottle delivered right to your doorstep. This is the answer to the American ultra-processed food diet. Email me at test@brainhealtheducation.org. That's test@brainhealtheducation.org.
Email Dr. Lewis today at test@brainhealtheducation.org and take the first step toward a healthier brain. Your future self will thank you. That's test@brainhealtheducation.org.
This is what's happening.
We attacked Cargo Island last night.
And Iran retaliated. They struck targets in Kuwait and Bahrain.
They'll agree on everything, and then they'll go have a news conference and say we never even talked about it.
101.9 and 94.1.
Number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL. This is special coverage of
Missouri decides 2026.
Brought to you by Fast Signs in Bridgeton, 21 Recycling in House Springs, Gemini Wealth Group, and Freddy's Market.
All right, just a few minutes left here in our election coverage on News Talk STL. Tony Colombo in studio with Vic Porcelli and producer Cole. Vic, let's go over some of the things that we know from tonight. We know that Amendments 4 and 5 were absolutely destroyed, and there's a lot of answers. There's a lot of explaining to do for a lot of people.
There's a lot of
because
questions that need
There's a lot of
answers.
failures
Yeah.
of communication and
Absolutely.
voter outreach.
Messaging.
For these two conservative-backed amendments to lose so completely when so many of the Republicans that put this in place won overwhelmingly in their races.
Yeah.
There's something that's missing in that communication. So unpacking the huge losses of Amendment 4 and Amendment 5 are going to be a big thing moving forward. Amendment 1 passed overwhelmingly. That is the amendment that continues to fund parks and recreational areas around the state. Big wins tonight for Bob Onder and Ann Wagner and Jason Smith. Big win for Wesley Bell and
Nick
St.
Schroer.
Louis. Nick Schroer running unopposed gets 100% of the votes. St. Charles County executive race. 80% of the vote in, and Steve Ellman very comfortably ahead with 50.4% of the vote to Bill Eigel's 30%, Jason Law's 17%, not officially called, but that appears to be what the results are going to be there. We just talked to Travis Wilson, District 106. He has held on to his seat. We saw wins by Scott Fitzpatrick in the auditor race. A lot of big wins for a lot of incumbent Republicans. A couple of outliers to that. David Castile is one of them in Jefferson County, an incumbent that lost his state rep primary race today. But a lot of big wins for established Republicans, and yet two of the biggest conservative initiatives go down in flames. What are your sort of final thoughts as we digest all this tonight?
I think if there's one thing I've learned, maybe the people who need to do the messaging for Amendment 4 and 5 and things like that need to go back and say, what did we do wrong with the messaging to the voters of Missouri? Because clearly they didn't understand what it was all about, Tony. And, the ballot itself was worded weird, and referenda are always worded weird. So I think we have to go back and, look at the messaging and I asked you a couple times tonight, why didn't we go back and see what Tennessee and Florida did? And you said we did, but we didn't win. And Tennessee and Florida did. So we did something wrong.
We put the blueprint out there. Well, specifically with Amendment 5 in the income tax plan. The blueprint was there to mimic Tennessee. And if we voted no, like we did, it would be more like mimicking Colorado.
Right.
So the blueprint was there, but the messaging, as you've mentioned over and over again, the explanation.
It's all messaging.
Yeah, and getting the information out to the voters was a massive problem on Amendments 4 and 5.
Well, let's learn. Let's learn from this,
Yeah.
And see if we can do it right.
Yeah. Really interesting to see what's going to happen in St. Louis County with Dennis Hancock, and to see if he could pull off the upset and in November. And, a county that has been led by Steve Stanger and Sam Page for such a long time. Could be a change there.
Yeah.
The overwhelming condemnation of Cori Bush by St. Louis voters.
Steve Ellman, as long as he doesn't get in any trouble and stays, he'll be the county executive in St. Charles for 24 years.
There's only been 2.
Holy cow.
County executives in the history of St. Charles County.
Holy cow. Wow.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing.
The second one, yeah. Absolutely. So, there's a lot if you're looking at this from a conservative standpoint, there's a lot to be optimistic about after tonight, but there's also concerns about messaging, because if that can happen with Amendments 4 and 5, it can happen anywhere if you don't do a good job of getting that message out.
Privileged to do this with you, Tony.
Oh, back at you, buddy. Couldn't do it without you. Big thanks to producer Cole as well.
Nah, he's all right.
And, of course, our great sponsors, Freddy's Market, Gemini Wealth Group, Fast Signs of Bridgeton, 21 Recycling in Imperial. Thanks to our great sponsors for making this special election coverage happen. You have been listening to special election coverage. More tomorrow throughout the day right here on News Talk STL.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA, SIPC.
Got scrap metal, junk cars, or old appliances taking up space? Turn that clutter into cash. Since 1968, 21 Recycling and Scrap Metal has been the area's trusted name for recycling. We buy copper.